adventure.
Yes, indeed, I am. Amelia is a young tiefling, 18 or less, depending on the nature of the adventure. She's got, standard tiefling features: red skin, yellow eyes, brown hair. Very kind smile. She's she's sort of on a pursuit of essentially she wants to be a true hero of justice, even though she doesn't quite understand what that means. So she's can often go on slightly misguided trips in that regard. But she's a genuinely nice person, except she gets a bit worked up about everything all the time. At least that's how I'm trying to play her. Mechanics wise, she's the warlock that does leadery things and charges for damage with Elder Strike.
All right. Lord Merrill.
Okay. Meryl is a former paladin of Dolara. She died during the last war in Eberron. She came back as a vampire, but then regained her free will, and being no longer a part of either world, she decided to join the guild as her only option. Mechanically, she is Verloka, even though fluff-wise she's human. She is a hybrid paladin vampire, and she does a lot of multi-marking, and she has some pretty decent ways to get temporary boosts to defenses. Not literally defenses, but defense in general. It's a general term. Okay, and that's me.
Soraka.
Brooke is an arena fighter, bright green, kind of a mystery. Doesn't share a lot about himself. He frequently dresses up in different costumes and assigns errands to new recruits in the guise of somebody in a position of authority. It's mostly just to play practical jokes and cause everyone else to be amused and chuckle. Mechanically, I run around with lots of shifts and have reach 3 and bash many things in any given turn in order to apply my mark and stay away from them, so they are forced to deal with the penalty. Otherwise, the backstory on Soroka is that he told everyone in the guild that he arrived after guild members came to Athos and destroyed the economy, causing him to lose his job. Saw how wealthy they were and decided that was what he wanted, and came to the guild to sign up and leave.
Cool. 2L.
In her past life, Tuel was a warrior who revered courage through seeking battle. That was a long while ago. Then later on, she was summoned in a ritual which tried to summon a warrior of the past in a time of need. However, something went wrong with the ritual, and she stuck around at the end of it instead of just disappearing. Thus, she went around the world in seek of other ways, in seek of revering court once again through battle, and the guild was a good medium for that. Mechanically, she's a rogue who twin strikes a lot and twin strikes some more, and basically has only non-standard attraction powers other than twin strike.
Cool. Kieran.
Hey everyone. Kieran is a dwarven cleric. He has many spells that have a healing component. He can also provide defensive as well as offensive buffs, and he's proficient in melee combat. He uses a two-handed execution axe. Kieran grew up in an area that is not really plentiful of dwarves. There was more elves and humans and other races that he grew up around. When he was a wee little dwarven baby, he was actually rescued by his grandmother when their dwarven hall came under attack by orcs and goblins. So he doesn't know a whole lot, only just a few stories have been passed down to him, but he's hoping to one day discover what happened to his kin.
Cool. Gilda.
Okay, so Gilda is this is Gilda and this is her secret. Gilda is a shaman, Hamadryad shaman. She pretty much grew up in a forest all alone. She got bored of it, started talking to trees, then she started talking to ghosts, and that's how she met Secret, who made her go out into the world, have some adventures. That's pretty much how she found the guild and started going out with the guild. As for mechanics, the Secret gives out bonuses to people that are adjacent to him, and gives combat advantage to enemies that are adjacent to him. And I believe that's pretty much all.
All right then. So, anyone else have any other bonuses? I think Lord Merrill has Devout Protectors.
So does
No,
Amelia. I already like that.
I switched to versatile expertise because of my change in weapons.
So Amelia has it. Or nobody has it. Aha. Oh no,
Amelia
Amelia
has
has it.
One thing more. How many people have stones?
So looks like 5 stones. 4 stones.
Look for no.
All right. So at the beginning of this adventure, a lot of you guys have done some other things, working between this world and Athos. The portal, the kind of weird, tearing red portal that goes from here to Athos, has opened up many times over the past couple of weeks, going back and forth between the guild hall and the desert world. On one of those instances, you guys, well, there's been a little bit of free travel back and forth between the Great Library of Besmahiz. There's been a couple of miscellaneous incidents of people either mistreating books or misplacing them, where they've been banished to the library, usually back to the guild, sometimes into the middle of nowhere in the desert. Your characters are ones that have at least some sort of interaction with Besmahiz, so that you understand how not to mistreat books. And on one of those excursions to the library, Besmahiz has her sentinels, these large statues that look like they're made out of flowing sand, come get you and bring you to the central meeting area. Coming up to the meeting area, the smell of coffee is very strong and fills the entire room. I'll put you guys here. Besmahiz welcomes you and kind of bows her head very slightly and says, "There have been reasons to share my home with you and your people of the guild, but I am starting to chafe at the closeness of company. More to the point, there have been some developments as of late. I've been researching things." She gestures towards a large pile of books that is, actually, she would be up here on her pedestal, that is next to her pedestal that she sits upon. "And in my research, I have found many things. Most importantly, that there are a lot of signs, things that your people and your presence here on this world have shown me through your interactions with those creatures here that should not be, including the great dragon, or the dragon that was Safaraktar the Dread." She smiles, and you can see all of her teeth are very, very pointed. It's a little bit creepy, and you can hear a grinding sound sort of echo in the back of her throat as some of her teeth click and smash together. "But events have now been put into motion, and there have been actions made, mistakes upon the path. One of those mistakes has caused others to choose to reach out to me and thus reach out to you. I would, of course, help those who need help if I could but leave this place." She looks around the confines of the library a little wistfully. "As such, I cannot, and I must ask for your members of the guild to stand as intermediaries." She takes one of her big claws off of a book that is open, adjusts up her glasses very slightly, and then takes a sip of her coffee. She settles back, kind of clearly done saying what she was meant to say. Waits for you guys to respond. Crickets, crickets. Is everyone going to stand there and stare with no sound being made?
Apparently, what's going on, guys?
Karen steps forward and says that he's interested in hearing more of this help that's needed. Who is it that needs help that's come to you, and what is it that you'd like us to do?
She says, with pieces being moved around on a board of this scale, the players must interact with one another. One of these interactions has caused an insult to be laid against one of the primary players. A strange entity has sent an emissary into the Nine Hells, and there have been complications. What I would like from you is for you to receive the emissary and to consider helping them in my stead. I will reward you in some small manner, but I believe the emissary and their people would reward you of their own accord. This will, of course, involve peoples of an extraplanar nature. The emissary has many friends in many places, but it will also involve treating and binding with these individuals, some of which are fae and others are devils. You can tell as Bess Mahis continues to talk that she's very clearly trying to say things that are in a straightforward manner, but doing so is a struggle for her. As if talking in riddles and talking cryptically is really the only functional way that she can talk, and she's attempting to kind of cut through that in order to be able to have a conversation with you.
I have no objection to working with devils and fae.
She nods her head and says, "Then I would allow them to speak with you. I will send a message to the others that you are receptive. Is there anything you wish to know from me before I send you back? I would not have them be on my realm, but they will meet you on yours."
Is there anything you think we should know before we go and meet them?
She gets a little bit of a twinkle in her eye. "Oh, now, little one, there are many, many, many things I believe you should know. But with all knowledge and the power that comes from it, it is always important for the people gaining that knowledge to understand and know the things they wish to know." For those of you guys that have gone back and forth dealing with the Sphinx before, she's really not good at offering information out of the blue. She's really, really good at, if you ask her questions, giving detailed answers.
The one that's burning in my mind is why these people couldn't have just come to us in the first place, why they had to go through her.
So is that what you'd ask her?
Yes.
She sighs and goes, "I believe the players would have gone to you directly if a little bit more time had elapsed between them asking me and me saying that I could not. It is not a simple matter of them hiring you through me, but rather them attempting to hire me, and I am not able to fulfill any sort of contract." So basically, it's not that they're going through her to hire you. It's that they attempted to hire her. She said no, and she's offering it to you guys.
Fair enough.
Yep. Any other questions for Best Mahis?
Karen, Karen believes the guild would be happy to provide services, especially in this regard to kind of help out Best Mahis. But since we don't know too much about these emissaries we might be interacting with, is there any information that she can share regarding her previous experiences or interactions with them?
Interactions with who? I'm sorry?
The emissaries, like the Fae or devils that we might encounter.
She smiles and says, "Yes, I could share some information. I believe the best way to share it would be," and she gestures, and a book appears in the air, kind of floating next to one of you. "Some introductions to them. Give me just 1 second. I will actually share this. I think it might actually be shared with people already, but in case it is not, it is in point of fact not shared."
What are we talking about?
A handout. So she basically gives you guys a book. The book says an introduction to the Dawn Truce, the Unseelie Accords, and the Courts of the Winter Fae. So take a couple minutes and read through that, and if you guys have any questions for her, then by all means ask. When you're done reading, and if you have no questions, please type 1 into chat. Otherwise, obviously, ask questions.
Uh,
Did you have a question, Mash?
yeah, there's a contradiction in the text.
Where?
Let me copy paste. Those two sentences contradict each other. If I understand, or I might misunderstand the meaning of Hefna here.
Yeah, so it's not contradictory. It's just very specifically worded. So you can be invited in and not be extended hearth rights. Everything between hearth and host rights, so the obligations of a host and the obligations of a guest, have to be done very explicitly. You can rely on them as being implied things, but if you do that, no one's really required to follow the rules. So you can be invited into a home without them extending hearth rights. If they extend hearth rights to you, that's something different. And it's also considered to be, generally speaking, kind of rude to ask specifically for rights and instead of just being given them, because the implication is if you ask someone to extend you the rights, that means that they are not trustworthy or that you think that they are going to act against you.
Okay.
Cool. So, any other questions, or is that it? Sounds like that was it. So,
Everyone's got a 1 in it.
yep. So, Best Mahiz gives you the book, and then says, "That is as far as the courts are concerned. The devils are much more complicated peoples. I would merely say that your comparison should not be repeated, Amelia." Sorry, not Amelia. Lord Merrill. Devils are devils, and demons are demons. They do not much like the mix. Basically, don't call a devil a devil. Or sorry, don't call a devil a demon, and don't call a demon a devil.
Well, I won't make that mistake again.
So, anyone have any other questions? So, Best Mahiz has given you guys each the book, and has said that she will send along the message to the person that contacted her to contact you all within the guild, and we'll do so as soon as you guys head out. And she will open a portal for you guys to leave to go back to the guild.
Yay, we're back in the guild hall.
Yay! So, after a moment of being out and about, you can see that the guild hall it's relatively empty. There's a lot of different people visiting a lot of different places. There's a lot of people out on contracts, and after you guys have been standing there for a couple of minutes, you start to notice frost and ice appear everywhere as the temperature drops very drastically all at once. And there is a cracking sensation, like a great weight of ice settling, or like the edge of a glacier starting to fall. So, I need for you guys. You guys are outside of the guild hall in the back of the guild. I need for you guys to make me an endurance check. And if I can find my goofy handout.
By the way, Gary,
There.
considering I know what happened last time,
Mhm.
could I use my how is it called? Hamadryad aspects to, cover myself with some wood and protect myself from the cold?
Yeah.
Does
Sounds.
Sarilka still have his thing that gives everyone endurance elements, or how is it called? Protection from elements?
Yeah, I was just checking
We
on
had
that from Wanderer.
I have a way to grant myself cold immunity as an interrupt, although it's on damage. Would that help me here?
If you want to use that, you can definitely do that. I'm going to go ahead and post what the. So there's the cheat sheet sort of with this. So if you are immune to cold, then you will be unaffected, but that ability will be gone. I don't. What's the? Is that a daily power?
It's an encounter.
Oh, nice. Then yeah, then you'll be just immune. So you will not have any ill effect from it. I would say for the purposes of the check, it would give you a +10 because there can be a beneficial section of this. And did Soroka have the thing from the Wonder series or no?
I have the warding ritual, but I think I didn't. So I'm not sure how it interacts with this endurance check because it doesn't look like it has a thing. You know what I'm saying? I mean, I used frustrating.
So the alternative reward, the base effect of the alternative reward is that you and 4 other party members have the effects of endure elements, and then it
Yeah.
gives an additional effect. I don't know if you
must
saw
not
it.
have. I must not have that piece copied in. I just have the piece where I can expend it.
Yeah, so if you still have the alternative reward, then you still have the thing. So that means that everyone except for Lord Merrill, I assume, because she can go immune to cold,
Sure.
has the effects of Endure Elements. So let me see what the total results of people are. So it looks like...
I added the 10 already.
Alright, so we've got Amelia looks like a 31. Lord Merrill looks like a...
Probably 33 because I also have radiant powers unless they don't stack. Oh, only high supplies. Never mind.
So 31, Sorelka is 31. Gilda, or 2L is 37? Or is that without the bonus?
The data's without bonus. With the bonus,
So
I have
47.
47.
Karen is at 32.
$47 seems pretty immune to me.
Yes. So the flash freeze covers the entire guild, and you see a portal open on the far edge of the guild itself. You see, so that all happens. Some people freeze. Lots of members of the guild actually get frozen into place, but no members of the party, I think, suffer any ill effect. I think everyone got 20 or higher. So some of you might feel a little bit, or no, DC 20 is lose 1 healing surge. So I think Lord Merrill would have lost a healing surge, but is immune.
Gilda included 10 in the roll, I think, so Gilda loses a healing surge.
Ah, fair enough. Also true. So, the flash freeze happens. You can see there is this portal that seems to open up into a very, very cold and starry night with this image in the background. But the image is hazy. It's like it's much further away from the portal than it was the last time that this opened up. And you see stepping out in front of it is a woman. Specifically, a fae.
That's a pretty familiar face to me, is it not?
It is, yes. So the woman steps out. You can see parts of her body are coated in the frost, but it doesn't seem to bother her. And she says, "Greetings," and bows very deeply, letting the front of her dress open to show bare breasts. "I am here under oath and by contract as rightful and lawful emissary under the Dawn Truce. I give name, bound and treated, as Ariana She, speaker for the one who calls himself the Stranger. There is another, also bound and treated, who wishes to make contact with you, but as per the Unseelie Accords needs permission to enter this plane. Do you give permission to a rightful and lawful emissary under the Dawn Truce to Igmip to take part in these proceedings as witness to Asmodeus, the Lord of Bator?"
Oh wait, she asked us, not just in case.
She asked you all, yes.
What's ICMIP?
She looks over towards you and says, "A devil and speaker for Asmodeus in these matters."
What are the consequences of refusing?
"If you refuse, then there will be much more complications upon our journey should you choose to accept the traveler's offer." She looks like she's trying to consider something, and then after a minute says, "If you choose to not allow the emissary to be here, and we also choose to enter the Nine Hells, we will not have the emissary's protections."
I would prefer not to enter the Nine Hells, so I would prefer to let him in.
Yeah, I'd also vote to give permission.
Yeah, I agree.
So,
That's 3. We need 1 more.
yep. So
Just in case, is letting him in will that make this cold go away? It's a bit chilly in here.
Well, I think we are about to go to hell, so get used to it.
she smiles and says, "This particular emissary is an emissary of Asmodeus personally, but also is within the dominion of Levistus. His presence will not dampen the cold. No."
Then I'd say no, thanks.
Well, I think Karen makes 4.
Is
I mean,
is Karen 4 or is
Yeah.
Karen 3?
I think it's Tool, Sorelka, Karen, and Lord Merrill have all said yes.
Okay.
yeah. Because isn't the emissary, aren't we, isn't that part of the whole Celia Accords thing? Like, we're supposed to let them in and they, like, reciprocate, that sort of thing?
You have kind of rules based about it. So if you want, because you guys have that list of what the accords are, you can request certain things from these. So you can extend hearth rights to him, or you can invite him in which case you're not saying you're a host and he's not saying he's a guest. You can extend hearth rights to him, which gives you the obligations of host to basically treat him well and not do anything bad to him. And then that also, if he accepts it, means that he has to take on the obligations of being a guest. So you can.
However, if we directly ask him to extend guest rights, he'll probably be annoyed with that, and that will not make it go smoothly.
He will react differently to it. Depends on the individual how they react to it. But if you invite him, that doesn't have any special rules to it. If you extend hearth rights to him, that will be an extra level. Now, Aliana did just say that they are both bound and treated according to the accords. So both of them will not only obey the letter of the law of the contract of what they're trying to do, they'll also obey the spirit of what's trying to happen here. So
What are our obligations if we extend hearth rights? Like, I know we're supposed to, like, treat them like a guest, but what does that entail?
It's in that document.
Yeah, in the document it kind of goes into it, but it's not that it's not super detailed. It's more along the lines of everyone has a slightly different interpretation of what it means. And the general rules are that you treat them well, you don't do things that directly act against them, you don't attack them or poison them or anything like that until they're no longer your guest. So you give them food, you give them lodging, you help them in minor ways, that sort of stuff. You are a quote-unquote good host.
So if we just invite them, but we don't give them hearth rights, then we have the option to, not be a good host.
Exactly, correct.
Oh yeah, let's just invite them in.
I'm perfectly content to offer them hearth rights. Like the
Yeah,
honorable
I'm
thing
also
to do.
I'm also fine with that, given that they're bound and treated. I don't see issue in that.
Logically, I see little reason not to, but
So, since the group has different decisions of what they want to do, please go ahead and give me which of the 3 options your character wishes to take, or we can continue the discussion. Is that hearth rights for Amelia?
yes, I was going
Okay,
there
so-
anyway. The dice just confirmed it.
So-
it's fated, guys.
Yeah. So that means 3 people are saying hearth right, and then so 4 people say hearth
4
right.
people.
So you extend hearth right. You see, if you respond with that, Aliana kind of quirks her head to one side, and then she smiles very slightly and says, "It shall be so. Do you extend these rights to me as well?"
I would say yes, but again, I guess we'll vote.
Yes.
I mean,
I mean,
thought
if
that
we're,
was
we're
went
extending
without
them
saying.
to a devil, why not extend them to a fey?
So she bows very deeply the second time, and then says, "It is a pleasure to be among mortals that understand such conveniences. I will not forget this." She flicks her hand to one side, and you see a portal open next to her, and then a small imp flutters through the portal, holding a very large book. So an imp comes through. You can see the book that he's holding has some stuff that's written in what is pretty clearly abyssal. It's a little hard to read. After a moment, he pauses and sort of lands on seemingly nothing. He apparently has an unseen servant that's around with him, and he kind of opens up the book very slightly, and then looks over towards you and says, "This place feels interesting. I feel welcome." He seems a little confused. Aliana turns to him and says, "The inhabitants here have extended you hearthright. You are now a proper guest, in addition to being bound and treated, Igmit." Uh, and then the devil kind of looks very confused over towards you, pushes up his glasses slightly, and goes, quite. You may begin. I am here merely as witness." Aliana turns back to you and says, "The stranger has sent an honorable emissary to the Nine Hells to treat with Asmodan under a flag of the Dawn Truce. The emissary was given promise and protection and right of passage to enter and entreat with Asmodeus within the court of Baator. While traveling through the Nine Hells, the emissary was attacked and taken prisoner. The kind of feeling of frost from the portal intensifies and starts to get much more painfully cold. The stranger cannot let this insult stand, and is lobbying with other signatories of the Dawn Truce to demand reparations for the slight against his honor and person. Old boundaries are being tested, customs and tradition are being renewed or forsaken. In this chaos, little is being done to try to free the emissary, as it is against the terms for an immortal to act upon the Nine Hells directly." She smiles very broadly. "The stranger has contracted with me to guide any willing mortals through the old ways to Interstigia, one of the layers of the Nine Hells, where information suggests the emissary is being held. With all that is happening through the astral sea and through the heavens on a grand scale, maybe what needs to happen is on a scale so small that few immortals would care to notice. Fate has smiled upon your guild before. Do you believe her fickle favor will carry you through hell and back?"
No.
I do.
Giant wall of text, in case you wanted to know
Giant
what she was
wall of
saying.
text indeed.
Once she finishes that, you see her kind of readjust her clothing very slightly and says, "I am acting currently as speaker for the stranger. I am his voice on all of these matters. Does your people know, or do your people understand what that truly means?"
Mm,
Well, wait, if we go to the Nine Hells and we just extended the devil's hearth rights, isn't that like reciprocal? So if we.
no, it's not reciprocal.
Oh, okay.
It would be rude for him to not extend it, but it is not required.
Don't think
I,
that was
I
the
thought
question.
it was just he by because we are letting the imp be we're going to be good hosts, so he's going to be a good guest.
Right. So
That
if
doesn't say anything about whether if we
No,
go like to
if
his
we
home that he has to be a
if we
good host
extend
and we
him
have
heart
to be good
rights,
guests.
he doesn't have to extend absolutely anything to us in return.
right, but
He
it
can
is
do so if he feels like.
yes, it is considered in most of the kind of the general things. This is part of the reason that Aliana has continued the conversation. Is if you basically say, "I will be a good host if you are," and you can be a guest. If you then go somewhere else immediately afterwards, it is considered really bad form for the guest not to extend similar rights back to you. So, because of the way that you opened yourself up to allow the devil here, your character wise might be able to figure out, and if you can't figure it out, Alianashi will straight up just tell you that it would be considered rude for Igmip not to return the same thing.
So
Right, but
we
he's
should
just an
be
imp. He has
decently
like nothing
safe
to
in
do
hell.
with the rest of the hells. I mean, he can't give us a
Isn't
blanket
he?
invitation
He's pretty
to
much an
all the
emissary of
hells.
Amanator.
He's an emissary of Asmodeus, yes.
Emissary of Asmodeus. Emissary of Asmodeus. I misspoke. Similar names. Given that he's an emissary of Asmodeus and thus represents Asmodeus when he speaks, I believe he has the right to extend hard rights to us. in regards to hell.
So if you say this out loud, Aliana, she will smile and nod towards you, basically agreeing with you. So we can address that in a second, but the first question is going to be what she's asked sort of two questions. So Aliana, she has said one, she is the speaker. Do you understand what that? She's the speaker for the stranger, and she is the stranger's voice in these matters. Do you understand what that means? And the second thing is she's basically giving you guys a mission. Hey, there's this thing going on. The emissary has been captured, and we want people to go and investigate. So there's sort of two questions, and if you guys want to have other sorts of questions or other interactions with them, by all means. But those two questions at some point need to be addressed.
I do not
Well,
I do not know exactly what you mean when you say you are the speaker for the stranger, or he who is known by many names. Could you explain that more?
She nods and says, "I will be his voice, his ability to interact with all things in these manners. I will give you such information and aid as he would give you himself were he able to do so. Anything that you would ask of him, if he would know it and would reasonably share it with you, I am required by being bound and contracted to share that information with you." So basically, she is acting as intermediary, but anything that you would ask the stranger that she thinks that he would reasonably share with you, she would also share with you. So she's basically contracted to act as much like the stranger in this interaction as if the stranger was actually here.
Right. Well, anyway, there's been foul play and betrayal going on, and this will not stand. And the hammer of justice will come down upon the betrayers who would so carelessly and I'm bad at inflamed speeches, but this is what I'm going to say, and stuff like that. And yes, of course, we'll do whatever the contract is, because there's justice to be served.
So while Igmip kind of raises an eyebrow and sort of treats your outburst with what is pretty clearly a little bit of disdain, Aliana, she listens very attentively and then nods her head kind of once you get done with the speech and says, "Yes, the fact that Asmodeus was not able to fulfill his rights as host is such a thing that justice is being demanded. I imagine there will be many concessions needed to be made in order for there to be a just outcome." She looks towards Igmip, and you can see the area around Igmip continue to be coated with an extra layer of frost. Apparently, there is some pretty powerful anger flowing through that portal and then through Aliana towards the imp. Does everyone realize what the actual problem is? Like, the why that they're here talking with you? Because I know with the legalese it can be confusing.
Can I try to say my understanding to see whether it's correct?
Sure.
Emissary of the stranger went to hell, as far as I understand. Asmodeus extended harsh rights to him, so he was supposed to be a good host. However, something happened, probably some devils which weren't too respectful of that attacked the emissary and captured him. So heart rights were broken, and some reparation is in order for the broken heart rights.
Yes, and specifically since Asmodeus extended Hearthright and something bad happened, it's on Asmodeus to fix it.
Okay, so I understood it correctly.
Yeah.
So is Asmodeus going to pay us?
So the other side of the implication is that Asmodeus and sort of these other much bigger entities are working through the channels of reparations, trying to get concessions and things like that. He's basically making amends on a much bigger scale, and the stranger is having you guys go in there and be sort of fresh eyes to things on a much smaller scale to sort of see if you can do something about it. And if you guys start talking back and forth about this, Aliana, she will say, let's see if I can get her thing, because she's now acting very much against what you guys want. Or not against what you guys want. She's acting with you all. So she would say, the stranger and his ally Saloon are moving some of their most powerful agents in place to test some of the Encelia accords which govern the dealings between immortals. pushing for concessions and powers on a very different scale than we here perceive. Many of those directly under the two entities offended are working elsewhere, but the stranger has sent me to do what mortals tend to do, to tip the scales just long enough for things to improve their position in the heavens. So basically, they're moving on much bigger scales, doing stuff, and the stranger wants you guys to sort of be the wild card, to kind of tip the scale one way or the other to sort of throw you into the mix.
So basically, he's just showing us the problem and see if we stick.
Yep.
Sounds like a great plan. I mean,
So, Karen, are you saying this out loud, or are you saying this to the group or to Aliana? Like, who's the? Is that meant to be out of character, or is that meant to be in character? And if so, who's the person you're talking to?
It's kind of an aside to the party. Like it's looking as if, I mean, that there is like a contract that the emissary would travel and be unmolested, but something happened. So I guess Karen has some thoughts, but he doesn't really talk directly about Asmodeus or the part he may have played. But I guess there's a general understanding that he's still somewhat responsible for making things right, since it was his guarantee and it was his dominion that this happened.
Mm-hmm.
So I guess Karen just lets everyone know that we should make sure that this emissary is taken care of, and then from that point, once he's ensured that he's safe, then move on to negotiations and such.
So as you say this to the group, you see you kind of get Aliana's attention, and she laughs in a short little burst that is very sort of rhythmic and musical. And when she laughs, she sort of drops the role that she's playing right now as the voice. You see the ice sort of clear around her body, and this intense wave of like desire goes washing towards you. As you can tell that she has some sort of supernatural attraction that goes towards her. Like she's supernaturally beautiful, and that supernatural beauty comes with a some sort of magical or innate come hither from the Fae. But it's quickly kind of fades away, and as she goes back into the role after laughing and says, "The stranger does not believe the emissary will need assistance should you be able to tip any of the balances in play."
Very well. We hope to be able to help.
So she nods to you. She turns to Igmith and then says something in Abyssal. I don't think anyone here speaks Abyssal, but if someone does speak Abyssal, let me know and I will tell you what she says. And Igmith nods to her and says, "I will extend the rights and protections of the Asmodean court. However, please understand we are entering Levistus. Levistus is out of favor in the court. In Stygia, he has dominion over the realm in much the same fashion that Asmodeus does. If he chooses to act directly against you, this is not something that Hearthright can be assumed to cover for such trivial creatures entering our domain. As such, I give you my personal wish of protection and entering of Hearthright. However, I cannot extend that for my lord and master beyond to say that he wishes in both treated and bounded forms for the matters of today to go sufficiently well." Again, both the devil and the Fae are speaking in high legalese. If you do not understand stuff that I'm saying, please let me know and I will translate it into normal speech. But
Didn't he basically
That
just
weapon.
admit the problem?
yeah, he did. He did admit the problem.
I
And
mean, we're just going there to dispense the hammer of justice on the face of this Levistus fellow, and then we can be done with it. Since clearly he is the one who betrayed Asmodeus and captured the emissary.
Levistus does not believe. Asmodeus does not believe that Levistus would be able to act in such a manner directly, although his hand is undeniably involved. I believe such matters are only speculation. So basically, what he just said is Asmodeus thinks that Levistus is somehow involved, but doesn't think he's involved in a more direct fashion. And then Aliana, because you guys have very much sort of befriended her, given what you guys have been saying, will turn to you and say, Levistus, the Lord of Stygia, is bound within a great glacier. He cannot act on anything directly, but he does send his agents far and wide to be able to do certain deeds within the realms themselves.
You're a new proxy in a new proxy war.
She smiles again, this time not losing her little aura around her that's sort of dampening all the things that she does, and says, just so. So she turns back towards the kind of open portal, and then says, if we are ready to go, type 1 in
Just in
chat if
case,
you're ready to go.
just in case to make sure that I haven't got it right, did I misunderstand, or did the imp say that we are not extended harsh rights, but instead the people involved will be bound and treated?
So he said that he extends his personal hearthright, but that he does not extend the hearthright of Asmodeus. But that being said, Asmodeus has agreed that he wants this mission to succeed. So
So Asmodeus is only bound and treated?
Asmodeus is bound and treated. However, Igmip has extended his own personal hearthright.
Now I'm not sure I understand what's the difference between those harsh rights. Or what does Igmip's harsh right, what do Igmip's harsh rights entail?
So basically, what Igmip is saying is he agrees to treat you all as guests, to offer any sort of aid that he can during your travels and during the time that you are with him, and that he will personally help you do whatever it is that you're doing that is reasonably within the bounds of a proper host. He is also saying Asmodeus is not personally extending that. So if you guys get into trouble, Igmip might put his hand in and try to do something. He's also saying, and being very clear, Asmodeus is not going to show up and try to solve any of the problems that occur on this mission. Because as a host, it is your responsibility to personally interact with things that are problems.
So it's basically something like proxy harsh rights?
Yes.
Oh, okay, then that's fine. It's just that I was a bit confused since I thought that he's emissary of Asmodeus, so I wasn't sure what's the difference between his harsh rights and Asmodeus.
Right. So he actually does have the power to be able to extend that for Asmodeus as an emissary. He's also choosing not to do so.
Well, this is something at least.
And then the second
So
piece of
I
what he said was
still-
that you guys are going into Stygia, and that there are other creatures in Stygia and that sort of stuff. So keep in mind, I am extending Hearthright with the understanding of not all things are going to respect it.
And just in case, does anyone have the ritual of endure elements? Because Relka is for 5 characters, not 6. Since we're going to Stygia, and it's probably pretty chilly there, as far as I know about Stygia.
Yes, it is very cold.
I mean, if we're going with 5, I can probably do without the endure elements. Though, if possible, I would prefer to have it.
So I always forget
Okay.
that Shaman's not a ritual caster. So Aliana, after kind of
Oh,
realizing that you guys want to do that but have no one to do it, she turns towards you and says, in sort of a very rhythmic kind of musical voice, lyrical voice is what I was trying to say. She says, "Endure elements." When she says it, you see little sigils appear over her mouth. Each of you guys hear Endure Elements as if it's in your inner voice, so it's like you are kind of internally monologuing in your head. You don't hear it in her voice. For those of you guys that have interacted with entities that can speak Supernal before, you're familiar with what this is. And so she has cast Endure Elements on the party, and you feel it settle over top of you.
okay, nice.
She touches the edge of the portal and it shifts, and you can see there is a different kind of cold on the other side of the portal. Instead of this dark and starry night, you instead see a frozen landscape that is extending off into the distance. Endure Elements, by the way, is, yeah, unfortunately not travel. So, I'm going to move you guys over. Unless you guys have other questions, in which case you should interrupt me before I continue moving over.
Mm-mm.
Oh, the things are not properly done. 1 second, sorry. So the realm of Stygia has a very particular look to it. As you step out, you see there is this enormous sea of moving ice, glaciers that are kind of bobbing up and down on this incredibly cold, dark, black ocean. You can also see that there are huge pillars of ice that are lifting out of the waters and into what seems to be some sort of ceiling over top of this. Um, yes, you can take a short rest before you enter the portal. You effectively could get a short rest during the conversation because you're not taking any strenuous activity. You can see way off in the distance that there are these kind of this low mist that covers the entire realm. But even though the ice pillars kind of extend up into the distance, you can't really see the ceiling, but you very much get the impression that it's there. So it might be like a mile tall, but you very much get the impression that you're in a cavern that is of kind of unthinkably large size, rather than being necessarily outdoors. Um, and I have the little thing on the map. You are here. Hello. Although I think that might be someone else's. You are here. When you look out and you see kind of the expanse gathered around, you can see that directly near where you guys portaled in, there is disturbance in the snow. There's big pieces of ice that are thrown around, and in a expanding ring in every direction, you can see what seems to be hundreds, if not thousands, of corpses that are all not in a line, but in a rough sort of almost like a walkway that's about 80 feet across that's leading off in the direction that you come out of the portal in. The corpses seem to be almost exclusively actually do seem to be exclusively demons and devils. Can I get passive insights from people, please? Or sorry, passive insights and passive perceptions. Okay, so looks like we've got one person. We've got a couple people that are above medium perception, and one person that's above hard insight. So as you guys come and see this, your passive perception can show you that there's a lot of very heated battle. Not really heated, but very cold battle. There's a lot of battle that happened here fairly recently, although the winds and mists and the cold of the area is beginning to cover things pretty quickly. Karen, your insight can tell that all of the things that died here, the demons and devil, or sorry, almost exclusively demons, but the demons and devils that fell from attacking something that was roughly in the center and moving off to in the direction that you guys are facing as you come out of the portal. So what I'd like to do is put you guys into initiative order, and then I'll kind of have Eliana Shi step through the portal and explain what's going on. Missing one person, looks like. Missing. Cool. There we go. So Aliana will step through the portal last, and it snaps shut behind her. She looks up and says, "The emissary was," gestures around, "attacked and defended itself. We have been looking for things on a grander scale. The individual scenes and clues have not yet been tampered with. We first must find the location of the emissary, and if you can find a direction, I will of course guide you there with our host." She gestures towards Igmip, who looks a little uncomfortable. So the goal of this portion is to sort of survey the battle scene, see what happened, try to get as much information as possible what's going on, and possibly find some sort of clues on what might have happened to the emissary. Soroka, you are up first. However, if you want to delay for a second, you're welcome to do so.
Thank you. I'd actually like to delay to the last since I know what I'm doing.
I will very much say that in this sort of skill challenge, as normal skill challenge stuff, you are in order specifically because I want to make sure that everyone has a turn. There's no threat here right now. So if you guys choose to not do anything, you're not going to be penalized for not choosing to act. And if you have an idea or something you want to run on someone else's idea, you're very much welcome to speak up because, again, the whole idea of being in initiative order is to make sure that everyone has a chance to be able to speak, not to make sure that everyone takes a turn and does something on their turn. So, Karen, you are up first if you have something you'd like to do.
Sure. I was curious if I were to do like a knowledge check regarding demons or devils, would that be religion or would that be arcana or what would that be like?
It is religion. Amelia, you can tell kind of roughly which way the battle went, and it went kind of off to the end of the distance. You can't see much beyond the fact that there were lots of devils and demons that were attacking inward at something, and that something went off in the direction that you guys are facing.
Okay. Karen's not the most knowledgeable about these creatures, but he's going to try to think about some of the training that he's had as a cleric and stories that he's been told, about the differences between demons and devils, and see if that knowledge can maybe help the party.
So my drawing is absolutely terrible, but does this make sense about the scene? So
Yep.
there was something here, and then there was lots and lots of stuff happening, and they all attacked, and then you have this sort of moving battlefield that's heading off into the distance.
Yep.
So, Karen, you made me a religion check?
Sure. Kieran was also thinking of maybe using his Student of the Sphinx boon to give himself and the party a little boost when it comes to, religion checks if we have to.
Okay.
Alright, can I roll an assist check on this then?
Yes, you can. You kind of brainstorm about what you guys know about the demons and devils that have fallen. Now, I do have to have a question. Since there are two different sort of categories of entities, are you asking about the devils or are you asking about the demons? So pick either for your information of figuring out stuff about the demons or your information of figuring stuff about the devils. They're both religion checks. I just need to know which one you're doing.
Sure. I guess I'll.
And you are welcome to do both, by the way, for the record. I just need to know which one's which.
I guess I'll go with the devils in that case.
Okay.
All right, I'll roll my assist. I don't have a conditional macro to this, so add 2.
You need to roll a total of 16, I think. 12. Yeah, you need to roll a total of 16, so you do actually have to roll. So give me a second assist as well, Amelia. And give me a
okay.
second. So Amelia successfully assists twice. Karen, give me your check about the devils. So you gave me the one for the demons, and now I need the one for the devils.
Sure.
So about the demons, there's just so many demons that are sort of gathered around. It is a little bit kind of confusing. There's many, many different types. And there are lots and lots of sort of piles of them all around. When you look at the sort of the flow of battle, they were very clearly being used as foot soldiers, and being the massive sort of front line of what's going on here. As you pick your way through, you really can't get a lot of information. They're demons that are from all over the Nine Hells. There's lots of different forms. There's more sort of insectoid-looking demons. There's big kind of hulking brute demons. There's what looks to be smaller caster demons. Like, there's kind of the whole gambit of demons. And because there's so much variation, you can't really get a clear sort of indication on any common thread. However, as you guys are going through things, you pick through a couple of different pieces that are a little bit interesting. The devils that you see around are of 2 types. You see chain devils and ice devils. Ice devils are exclusively from this layer of hell. They're from Stygia. And chain devils are some of the things that are from other layers, but they tend to be the personal servants of princes. So the princes of hell tend to have specific chain devils that are their sort of, not necessarily personal guard, but their personal handymen. And the ones that you find, you can see have icons of the different princes. So these are kind of the princes, the different princes of hell, their personal guard, their personal armies, not necessarily their personal guard, but something that would be very, very much only working within that particular prince. Is the ones that would carry this emblem and this symbol would be ones that have the trust of the individual princes of the Nine Hells. The other thing you can notice is that a couple of the ice devils seem to have been frozen solid and blown up. These are creatures that are used to living in Stygia that are effectively immune to cold, and they seem to have been frozen solid and exploded. Specifically in such a manner that when they exploded, they killed most of the demons around them, as you see bits and pieces of ice devils as shrapnel in other creatures.
How horrible.
So devils will summon demons from the chaos to do things, and there tend to be a pretty decent number of demons in the Nine Hells, even if they are non-native. So Karen, is there anything you want to do with that information?
I guess perhaps I can pass on the information to Alianus. Perhaps with the information of the sigil on those personal servants and the direction that the emissary is going. Correlating that information, we might get an idea on who it is that's responsible for attacking them, and just to kind of see if maybe the chain devils have come from that particular region of the one of the princes.
So she kind of stands near you, looks at the thing, nods to you, and says, "It is only fitting if a creature would so blatantly go against Asmodeus, that they would be either the princes themselves, or under direct order from the princes. This is not new information. Basically, you showed her something that she already assumed was true. 2L,
Alright.
you're next.
I'm really not even sure what are we trying to find, so I'll just delay.
Okay. The goal is to figure out what happened to the emissary.
I mean, we can. We can see that he was attacked by a bunch of demons and devils and walked off. That's what happened to the emissary. I'm not sure what are we trying to find beyond
Right,
that.
now we need to find out where the emissary is.
Why not just follow the trail?
You can do so.
Yeah, I'll delay because I'm confused really about.
Amelia,
What?
you're up.
Yeah, that's also my thought. Like, we have a trail, why aren't we following it?
That's
I
a
don't
perfectly
really have
reasonable thing to do.
Because
Yeah,
no
exactly.
one
I don't
said,
really have a
I
check to
want
do
to
for
follow
that,
the
so I
trail.
will. Sorry. I will let you speak, but I don't want to interrupt if anything else wants to do anything, but I will start walking along the trail slowly, I guess, so people can catch up.
Yeah, so you start walking along the trail, heading in the direction that the sort of battle seemed to be developing. You can see. Can I get I need some sort of check to kind of read the battle, because it gets more and more chaotic the longer it goes on, and kind of harder to follow as it sort of. This beginning area seems to be where the battle started, and then as it goes further, you can see the corpses thing gets much more wide ranging. So can you give me some sort of check to sort of follow the ebb and flow of this previous battle to try to figure out where the emissary was in all of this?
Sure. I mean, I don't have a proper check for that, so I will just accept that I get lost.
So insight is default. You could also use nature to check the tracks. You guys are technically underground, and there's a lot of sort of quote unquote physical, like hard evidence, big pieces of ice and things that have been moved out of the way. You could use dungeoneering to kind of follow, or you could try to justify some other sort of check. All of those work.
I mean, I don't want to be the guy who bullshits with Arcana, so I'll roll any wisdom-based check, even though that's my dump stat.
You could try to use Arcana, but it will give you different information than the other things will.
I mean, yeah, in that case, why the heck not? I mean, there are obviously traces of magical elemental energy having blown things up, so why not try to get something out of that, I guess.
Okay. So, as you're kind of extending your arcane senses out along this trail, you can sense that there are these little pockets of incredible cold magic that have been sort of sporadically placed throughout the battlefield, as these are remnants of.
What, blow up the ice devils, presumably?
Yeah, pretty much. You can also see that there is this extremely potent but very weird feeling aura that passed through this area, and you know that whatever it was very, very potent in order to still be able to be sensed, what is apparently a couple of hours later. And it doesn't feel like anything you've ever encountered before. It doesn't feel like a normal caster. It doesn't feel like really anything that you've ever sensed. And it's fairly easy to follow that aura's presence on the battlefield. And so as you kind of close your eyes and use your magical senses to sort of lead you along, you can wind your way through the battlefield following the aura of this creature if you so choose. But I'm going to kind of leave that up to you.
Yeah, that sounds like an excellent idea.
Cool.
Can I interject?
Sure.
Can I be inserted into the initiative here?
Again, yes.
Since I assume I would probably also follow the trails with Amelia, and that Amelia would tell me that she saw those weird pockets of ice. But I'm not sure that those pockets of ice would necessarily give a clear direction to where the emissary went. So, could I try to look around the look around the trails? And pretty much just see if concentrations of debris and other stuff happening match up in their general direction with this stuff, with something like perception.
Sure. So, as you guys are going along and you're staying close-ish to where Amelia is, looking around for something that is kind of out of the place, you can see there's a mound of what looks to be demons that have sort of piled along something that has fallen. And as you notice, there's something different underneath that mound. You go towards it, and you can see what seems to be the remains of a very, very large troll. This troll looks like he was between 22 and 25 feet tall, and is covered in innumerable wounds. You can see there's still blades that are slightly smoldering, that have this incredibly acrid sulfurous stench that are stabbed into the side of the creature. And the creature's whole body is just covered in a myriad of things from these weapons. You can tell that there's little bits and pieces of the troll that's still smoldering under the pile of corpses.
Given by the damage dealt, that looks like that might be the creature we're looking for. I'll probably call others to so they see whether this seems like something appropriate.
So, yeah. Meryl, you are next, unless someone else wants to interject. You see Tool has found the corpse of what seems to be a very enormous troll.
Okay, could I try perception to see if I can tell any more details about it?
So, the question is what you're looking for. Because perception is to find certain things that are hidden. The troll is easy to see now. Now, if you want to uncover the troll, kind of dig it out from underneath the pile, you can definitely do so. I'm not going to make you guys make a check because there's no time aspect here. But if you're looking for something specific, let me know what it is that you're looking for.
Not anything specific, just kind of seeing if there's anything, I don't want to say out of the ordinary, because I mean, we're in, frozen layer of hell here. But anything that would be particularly suspicious or untoward,
Right.
something that would catch my attention.
So what you're looking for is an insight check if you're doing it that way.
Okay. I'll go ahead and do that. However, I want to do my Student of the Sphinx thing.
Okay. So give yourself. Everyone has a +3 to insight, including passive insight. Or sorry, is it plus? Yeah, +2 to insight and passive insight.
Okay, so it'll be 28 because I didn't add the +2 into my roll.
So, kind of as you guys take a minute to kind of uncover the troll, you can tell that there's a couple things that stick out. One, the troll has, because it's so wounded and because it's been taken so much to kind of take the troll down, most of what the troll was wearing has been destroyed, but you can tell there's the remnants of what looks like it might have been a formal suit, like something that someone would wear to like a ball or a formal. You can see bits and pieces of tattered cloth that are made of very high quality wool and silks. Kind of all over the troll's body, there's these little tattered remnants of what would have been a very expensive sort of business or dress suit. The other thing you can tell from looking at the inside is the troll isn't dead. The troll is very, very much wounded, and to the point of a normal creature would have definitely died from all of this. But you kind of get the impression that the still smoldering pieces of broken weapons and things that are covering the troll's body are still smoldering because the troll's not actually dead.
Well, that kind of leaves us in a whole position of what to do about that.
So, I mean, it is kind of roughly still your turn, although obviously people can interject if they want to. Is there anything you guys want to do with the troll?
Wait, is Aliana with us?
Aliana is with you, yes.
Can we just ask her what is this troll? Since it seems to be... my thought is that since it's full of those wounds, it might be the emissary. It's kinda... I don't know. I'm not sure. So I would just want to ask to Aliana, does she recognize this creature?
So she smiles and says, "Do I recognize this creature? Of course. But if you were asking me a question, that would be information that you would get from me only with proper exchange. The correct question is... yeah, go ahead, Meryl. The correct question is whether the stranger would recognize this creature, and he would. This is one of the emissary's guards, 13 of such creatures." She sort of thinks about it for a moment and says, The emissary, or sorry, the stranger would know more about this, but I do not believe he would share that information.
Okay, thank you.
Gilda, you're up.
Okay, so, well, I guess this guy is not dead, right?
He does not. Well, Meryl tells you that he's not actually dead.
Okay, so I can't really talk with him. So I think what I'd like to do, since this is hell and I'm pretty sure there are spirits around here that probably witness all that, I'd like to talk with the spirits and pretty much uh, check if any of the spirits know something that we have not yet discovered.
Okay.
Um, I guess with nature.
Yep.
+6, 33 total.
So you call upon the spirits of this place. As soon as you do so, like as soon as you open yourself up to the spirits in Stygia, they come towards you, and you're used to when you call upon spirits there being a small barrier. You kind of have to open yourself up, and you have to draw spirits out. You have to draw things to you that you want to interact with. That does not happen here. As soon as you open yourself up to the sort of spiritual world, you have this enormous flood of screaming, angry, like this powerful wave of hatred and frustration and pain that floods into Gilda's body that is completely crippling. Um, After a couple of seconds, you kind of turn off the feel of the flow of spirits towards you, and you find your character is on her knees, being sort of viscerally overwhelmed by the incredible presence of spirits here in the nine hells. Basically, all of the trapped spirits and souls of those that are in this layer of hell immediately reached out to talk to you all at once, all in their most desperate cries for help and in voices of the millions of people that are trapped within this layer of hell. One thing that you will kind of get from that is after you take a moment to sort of recover your balance and kind of recover yourself from opening up to what was probably not a very good plan, is that there was one of the directions that nothing came from. You were able to kind of close yourself off to kind of wall your senses back away because something that is near you was a void. There was a sort of a safe spot somewhere around you that didn't have any spirits, didn't have any interaction, didn't have anything that came from there, and that little pocket of nothingness was the only thing that kept you from being basically immediately overwhelmed and being driven insane by all of the spirits trying to all at once reach through you.
Alright, sounds fun. So guys, I found that we are in hell and people in hell and spirits in hell are kind of bad. But I found also that one place where there are no spirits, there is that weird void. We probably should check it out.
And you can tell that the void is in the battlefield, and you can with the is that with the 6 included? It looks like.
Yeah, it is with physics included.
So definitely with the 33, you can direct people to the area where you felt that sort of void that you were able to hold on to come back from opening yourself up to all of the spirits. And it is within the battlefield itself. A little bit further than where Amelia's going, but roughly in the same direction that Amelia's heading. So Sorelka, you're last.
I'd like to facilitate the troll's recovery, either through removing whatever this smoldering metal is with. I won't actually touch it physically, but I could use my tools to try to pick it out. So just a heal check, either to help them recover or determine if it's even possible for us to help them recover.
Okay, you can definitely do a heal check, although what I will say is that getting the troll healed is not the complicated part of this process. It's actually removing the stuff from his body, so athletics fits much better than heal.
How about thievery for some delicate task like that?
Thievery also would work well.
I mean, I'm way better at athletics, so I guess I should have just shut up and rolled that.
Both of them work, but it is going to be difficult to pull stuff out of him.
All right. Well, I'm going to go with thievery. That's mine. Dang. Roll the 2.
So, tinkering with it, different things, you can kind of pull.
Are we at AL12 or AL14?
I keep rolling 12, but it is supposed to be 14. You are correct.
Okay. I think I still made moderate, but
Yeah, but it is important for me to stop hitting 12 when it's actually 14. So you can pull some of the smaller pieces out, but you can tell that there is something that is broken off in the troll's chest. That even though you kind of can remove some of the smaller pieces, there's something really big that is in his chest that, as you try to work with it, there's really no way to remove it easily. And part
is
of
it
it has
his
been
heart?
healed over. It's like his chest cavity seems to be at least partially filled with a broken weapon, that the entrance to the where the weapon went into his body has been sealed away.
Okay, alrighty then.
So you're gonna have to cut him open in a much more drastic
Well,
fashion to get that out.
If nobody minds, I'll just go again and do athletics to try to rip it out.
Sure.
Clear.
So it is not an escape attempt, but that will get you
No.
what you need. So you
Right.
can cut into it, and then as you sort of open up his chest, sort of autopsy-like, you can see that there is something that is large and smoldering just below his rib cage, and it looks to be a blade that's about as wide as your two hands put together, and is about 4 feet long, that's snapped off in his chest. And you slowly start to sort of excavate it from him, and you can see very slightly around the edges as you're continuing to kind of burrow into the troll that it is trying to heal but not really succeeding.
Interesting.
As you get through, takes you quite a while to do this, so I'm gonna go to other
Yeah,
people and then
sure.
I will come back to you.
Sure.
Karen, you said you had something you wanted to do.
Yeah, I was thinking about using a heal check. Would it be possible to maybe work with Sorelka? Using knowledge of using healing energies, but also kind of like battlefield surgeon type stuff. Maybe I can help, with directing Sorelka to, understanding that there's a weapon lodged in there. We want to kind of remove it so that the troll can heal, but we also don't want to cause excess damage. So I want to try to like minimize the damage so that he can heal.
Okay. So that definitely does sound like a heal check to me. So you can see that a lot of the smaller pieces that Sorelka got out previously, and that you can continue to kind of get out as Sorelka's getting the big piece, are also doing things that prevent the troll from healing. They aren't really doing a lot to hurt the troll. So a lot of the pieces seem to have some sort of minor acid enchant or something to that effect. And the other bit of information that you get is that the trolls. I'm counting this as an assist for Sorelka, so Sorelka's athletics will be at a hard DC. The thing that's in his chest goes apparently hit him below the ribs and then went through his heart and is into the base of his neck. So this one blow went through one of his lungs, through his liver, through his heart, and then pierced his neck, probably snapping his spine.
In other words, it was a good shot.
Yes. Amelia, you're up. You see the others sort of more or less what looks to be performing an autopsy on the troll.
Yeah, I don't really have any skills to assist that, so I can either skip or just cheerlead them in the background, counting a diplomacy as an assist for whatever they are doing.
Okay. So, Tool, do you have anything you want to do? By the way, waiting for them to finish their autopsy is perfectly a legitimate answer.
Then
Yeah,
that's what
probably
I
just
do.
wait.
Meryl, do you have anything you want to do other than wait?
No, I have nothing. I'll
Gilda?
wait.
Do they have problem with putting the sword out?
Mm-mm. Basically, it's taking them time to do this, and as the DM, I'm giving the other players a chance to kind of do anything else they want to do in the scene before I kind of finish what they're doing. They don't need help, but it just takes time. So if you guys are doing something while they're doing the autopsy, by all means.
Let's see. Well, I guess not really.
Okay. So it takes several minutes to do, and you can see Aliana seems to be watching with pretty intense fascination as you guys pull the stuff out of the troll. At first, she seems a little bit confused at what you're doing, and then as it continues going on, you can see that she's sort of, I would say that most people wouldn't really notice. Karen, you can tell that she's really, really pleased at what you guys are doing, but she's trying to hide that fact. She's just not doing a great job at it. So she's trying to hide the fact that she's very pleased at what you're doing. As you pull the blade out, the weapon itself seems to be the broken edge of a broadsword or a greatsword that's built on a much larger scale than you guys are. Basically, on a scale that the troll could probably wield this full weapon. The blade itself looks to be made of some sort of black material that has this incredibly acrid stench of sulfur that comes off of it. And you can see all along the edge of the blade are little pits where sulfur has been added in, and enchants that show both hellfire and acid that are pitted into the weapon. If you would think of a weapon that was specifically designed to kill trolls, it would pretty much be this weapon. As you pull it out of the troll's body, you see the wounds start to very slowly close as the troll starts to regenerate. So the troll looks like he's going to take a little while because you just gutted him and then removed this thing. So you get the impression it's probably going to take him 15-20 minutes to regenerate. Does anyone want to do anything or help the process along or anything while he regenerates? Otherwise, I'm going to continue moving the scene forward and have him regenerate.
The only thing I'd like to say is I would like to keep the blade and if it'll fit in my pack.
It will not fit in your pack, but you can definitely keep it.
Oh, well, alright then.
So, Amelia, wait for the troll to regenerate or do something else?
I mean, rolling a check to speed up his regeneration and skipping to when he is regenerated seems like the same end result to me.
Right, it's if you want to do something not bound to the troll regenerating. So if you guys would just kind of sit here and wait, kind of enjoy the scenery, that's perfectly fine. Tuel, or do you want to wait?
I'll probably wait for the troll because that seems polite at least.
Okay, Meryl,
Same here.
Gilda,
Since we're waiting, I would, try to help him recover a bit.
okay. So you guys help the troll recover, and then after a minute, the troll kind of lets out this kind of shuddering breath, or sorry, lets in this shuddering breath. You see the lungs don't quite inflate properly, and then he coughs and spits out a little bit of blood as he rolls over to one side. You see his body, as he wakes up, then go from the very slow regeneration to rapidly regenerating. And he kind of shudders a little bit. He turns over toward it to look at you, and he snarls, and you see these big tusks heading out from his lower jaw. And he grumbles in a voice that is just kind of this deep, booming basso. Not entirely sure what it is that he just said. Does anyone in the group speak Elven?
I do.
I think, yeah, I'm a half elf, kinda. So of course I do.
I do as well.
So he speaks in a very kind of ancient dialect of Elven and says, "Where is my queen?"
Your queen?
The troll sort of looks towards you and snarls.
Do you mean the emissary?
So are you speaking in Elven to him?
Yes, of course.
So he kind of looks back to you. You can see him sort of testing his arms and legs. You hear kind of popping of joints. He sits up and kind of looks around, and he seems to be very clearly assessing you guys as combatants, like looking you up and down, focusing on your weapons and armor. Yes, my queen is emissary. Where is she? I cannot feel her.
That is what we're trying to find. Can you tell us what happened?
Do not know rules for mortals. Duchess. He seems to notice Aliana. What rules do we follow when dealing with these particular mortals? Aliana bows to him and says, My lord, our rules that we follow with these is that I am bound and treated by the stranger in order to help them in finding the emissary. They are here and have been very proper, treated with respect, not only me, but those that travel with me. She gestures towards the imp. I would say give them any information that you so choose, as long as it does not directly go against our queen. The troll smiles and goes, Good. Politics hurt brain. Rules hurt my brain. What do you little mortals want to know again? He seems to have
Can you
forgotten
describe
whatever
us?
question you asked since when you first started talking to him.
Can you describe us what happened?
Yes, my brothers and I were escorting our queen to go and speak with the lord of this place. It did not go well. He kind of kicks one of the corpses of the demons. Things attacked us, overwhelmed us. But the queen would have, he looks around, escaped. She will be returning for me and my brothers. He kind of cracks a little bit and then gets up. As he does, you can see he's gesturing with one of his hands, and you can see the area around his hand starts to kind of form up with mist. And after a moment, when he kind of stands up, you can see an enormous greatsword appear in his hand, made of this ice that sort of shimmers like there's a bunch of rays of the sunlight hitting it all at once. He sort of gestures behind him, and it floats next to him. So he looks around a little confused and goes, Why do I not feel my queen? He looks towards Aliana, and Aliana just gives him sort of an unreadable look, and then he looks back towards you, like he's trying to get an explanation.
She has not been found after this assault. We something happened to her, and we don't really know in what state she is at the moment or where she is. That is part of what we're trying to learn.
He kind of gives a grumbling chuckle and happened to her? No, no. Little mortal, nothing happens to my queen. She happens to them. My queen is where she wishes to be. I just cannot feel her. He looks around and says, One of my brothers. And then he starts to thud over towards one of the big piles of corpses. And then starts kind of unearthing another troll.
So, so you say you can't feel your queen, and when I checked this place, try to speak with the spirits, there was that place where there weren't any spirits. Maybe that's why you can't feel your queen.
So he looks back towards you, and he closes his eyes, opens his eyes again, and you see they've gone completely blue. He sweeps his eyes around the area and says, No veils, no lesser magics that could hide from me. If there's more complicated magic, I do not know how it works. He continues to unearth another troll. You pretty much get that the troll doesn't really understand how magic works. He has apparently some sort of ability to see through certain disguises that he just used, but having a conversation with him about the more inner workings of magic does not seem like it's going to lead to fruitful results.
So basically, magic is just. I think he does, but I think he doesn't know.
Yeah, he's like, he basically says, if there's a magical thing that's going on, okay, I can't help with that, and I don't know what you're talking about. The troll does not seem like, he seems fairly smart for a troll, but that's saying That's saying not very much. So he unearths, and then as he kind of continues working, he starts pulling the stuff out of the other troll, doing basically what you guys did to him. Although he's pretty brutal at removing things from this other troll.
Mm, well, he probably knows what he does. Well, he probably knows what he's doing when it comes to something like that.
So, what are you guys doing while the troll is apparently reviving one of the others?
I mean, it's at this point it's kind of obvious that something very important is in the direction that Gildas hence the void.
Mhm.
But on the other hand, as far as I can see, we have two options. One is just going there. The other is waiting for the troll to revive other trolls or helping him. And the difference is basically how much time are we willing to spend waiting.
Yep. And I will say that while there's no immediate threat here, I am keeping track of how much time you guys are spending doing these things.
So yeah, it's a question of whether we prefer having more time or more trolls with us. Yeah, waiting for him to revive all those trolls is a lot of time, but an army of trolls is also nothing to. Yeah,
I don't know.
I mean,
They got beaten down once. I don't know why they wouldn't get beaten down again.
that is true. Eh.
So,
So looking at this,
if you guys would help me
looking
out with the answer, as just so we can get an initial kind of read of the party, if you guys would please put 1 or 2. 1 is wait for the troll or help him or something of that manner. And the second thing is to go to the area where where Gilda said the void was.
I mean, before answer, can we assess roughly how strong we think the troll is? As in, does he look like he's a paragon kind of creature, an epic kind of creature, or something like that?
You want a monster knowledge check on the troll. That's what you're asking.
Yeah, probably. Though my monster knowledges are garbage. What kind of check would that be?
I'm almost positive it's nature, but let me double check. It is actually Arcana, because he is a Fae.
Oh, okay. My Arcana is absolutely great.
He seems to be some form of troll.
Hmm.
So he seems very strong. You do not get any additional information. So it looks like we've got 3 votes for going and checking the area and letting the troll do his thing. I need the other 2 people to vote, please. Okay, so several of you decide to go and head over towards the area that Gilda felt the void coming from. Once you guys get to where kind of close towards that area, you start to notice that there's more of those larger mounds. And you can see that there are 4 mounds that are roughly equally spaced around a center location. That same feeling of the aura that you've been following leads towards. This looks to be the site where there's been a lot of disturbance on the ground, a lot of that sort of stuff, where this looks to be maybe a last stand or something of that nature. Looking kind of at the bottom of those piles, you can see the remains of 4 other trolls. And there's nothing in the very center. At the very center of this, there is a spot that is about 10 feet across that is completely undisturbed. It's a perfect circle, and it's just a white sort of sheet of ice that doesn't look like it's been disturbed by anything. So that is what you encounter at the end of the kind of trail, and that's what Gilda. This is where you felt that sort of void.
It's a flat and horizontal sheet of ice.
Yeah, it's on the ground. You see like there's piles of bodies. There's kind of strewn weapons. There's shards of things. There's again, if you look at the splash screen, the ground is very uneven. Here, however, it looks completely perfectly flat in a perfect circle. And it seems to be a solid sheen of ice, almost like to take in real world explanations, what you would expect in like a professional ice rink. It looks perfectly smooth and flat, and it has that solid sort of uniform white color of freshly formed ice. Yes, someone parked their Zamboni here.
So I guess since I was the one to who sensed this, could I get closer and look for any clues why it is a void?
So, getting a little bit closer, you can start definitely look for clues. What are you doing as far as looking for clues? Are you extending kind of arcane or primal senses? Are you looking with your eyeballs? What is it that you're
I
looking for?
I think I will start looking with I guess actually arcane. Why not? I'm trained in arcane, so I will try to feel if there's any magic that kind of holds this place out.
Gilda is what race? A Wildman, correct?
Hamadryad.
Okay. Go ahead and give me an Arcana check.
Okay, Arcana is here. Yeah, nice.
So you extend your senses out towards the edge of the circle, and then as soon as you do, you get a backlash of pain. And anyone who's near Gilda can immediately see her hand be covered with frostbite, and this kind of singeing ripple of energy flows up from whatever part of your body you extend to sort of get the senses from, and you lose a healing surge as it singes into you. Whatever it is that's here, it seems to be specifically anti-Fey.
How rude.
So you can tell that whatever's there, there is some sort of strong presence that is very harmful to Fey creatures.
Okay, I will go away and cry in pain.
Yeah, I'm going to put Guild at the bottom of the list. Amelia, do you have anything you want to do?
I also wanted to check it out, but now we know what it is, so I don't really have to.
You didn't get any information other than the fact that there is something that is against Fey here.
Yeah, well, my guess what that says is was dead to spirits. Maybe it's also dead to magic. So yeah, fuck it. Why not also roll an Arcana? Wow.
So a moderate DC can tell you that very clearly there is some sort of magic circle power going on here. What it is that's causing the magic circle, you're not entirely sure, and you don't feel like the thing that warded it actually created this perfect sheet of ice. That there needs to be some other sort of source here. It doesn't seem to be directly harming you, as you do not have the Fey origin, but there is a strong sense of a barrier. So there is a binding that separates all of the magic from outside of the circle from things that are within the circle. Because it's not preventing you from crossing the barrier going in, you can tell that there is not a lot going on inside of the circle, but you can also tell that the direction of the binding would prevent pretty much anything from stepping outside of that circle. Also, I think we have at least one ritual caster here, so I will say, because you have a ritual caster, you guys know that Magic Circle has to have some sort of thing to it. Like, magic circles don't just exist with no symbols, with no focus, with no nothing. You, typically speaking, need to draw the magic circle on the ground, and then inside of the circle is what takes effect. You don't see anything on the ground right here.
I
2L, you're next if you have something you'd like to do.
I have a very weird idea. So, as a Revenant half-elf, I don't actually have Fey origin, but I probably have some very weak traces of being Fey in me. I mean, would that be a reasonable assumption?
Mm-hmm.
So, thus, I would expect that this thing would probably react to me, but in a weaker way than to an actual Fey creature. So, I would probably just try to deliberately trigger it, the weaker backlash, in order for our spellcasters or our ritual casters during that to be able to properly see how it's working while it's active in that way. So, would it be something like endurance?
You can definitely do endurance. The question I have to ask for you is, by trigger it, they previously had extended their...
I would try to touch it or something like that.
So are you just trying to touch the edge of the barrier, or are you going to cross the barrier?
I would try to actually cross it.
Okay. That is an intimidate. not an endurance.
That's the wrong button. My endurance modifier is. Let me check. Yeah, I just misclicked it. My endurance modifier is too high, so that's 36.
So you go to step through, and when you step through the barrier, you get this very strong sensation of pull away from your body. For those of you guys that are outside, you can see the Twill's body and skin starts to light up, and you can see Twill's soul pull its way out of her body and then snap back in as she crosses the barrier. You get the impression that if you had not had such a strong connection to your body, that doing that would have ripped your soul out of your body. Now that you're inside of the barrier, it feels perfectly normal in here.
So, would they be able to tell anything about how the magic circle is supporting itself from observing that?
So you guys can get that the magic circle is not just a remnant. It is very obviously still active in one form or another, and there has to be some sort of physical thing that is causing the magic circle to stay here, although you don't seem to be able to see it at the moment. So you can get from what 2L just did that there is something that exists that is causing the circle to be here, but you just don't see it at the moment. Meryl, you're up.
User in your channel timed out.
I think that was Jess timing out, so I'm...
Correct.
Yeah, she's lost connection. So I'm going to go to Soraka.
Yeah, I'm going to try to dig on the outside of the circle and see if maybe whatever is the physical thing that we were told, like, keeps the circle here might be beneath the ice.
Okay, give me an athletics check, please. I'm having to reload Roll20 because it somehow it decided to just fail for a second.
No problem. I got a 34.
So with a 34, you kind of dig down a little bit, about a foot and a half underneath the ice.
User entered your channel.
Yeah, so about a foot and a half underneath the ice. You can see through sort of the clear ice that there is something buried. And as you continue to dig down, you can see that there is there's a band of metal that's about 8 inches tall, and it's the entire diameter of this area, and it is covered in runes. So you see that there is a this. Assuming that revealed the area.
I don't see anything yet.
Top right. You can see that symbol is on the outside. It's repeated several times, and it is, as you look at it, you see kind of other weird kind of copies that play with your eyes. If you look at the way the image is, how there's kind of shadow images behind it, it's almost like the sigils and things are flowing into the center and kind of passing away from you. And you can see it does seem to be made of a relatively dull, sort of dun metal that's grayish color. It kind of looks like steel, but it's not the correct sort of reflection to be steel.
Does it remind me at all of the writing in the Pyramid and Chult?
Not as much. The writing here seems to be in a much more harsh looking language. So the writing in Chult was in Draconic. This is in a different language. When you kind of unearth it, as Aliana is standing nearby, she mutters a curse in Elven under her breath, and then makes a sort of sign and steps back away from you all.
And that does not sound nice.
Shall I bury it under the ice again, Alana?
She kind of gives you a bit of a withering look and says, "I act as the emissary, or sorry, as the voice of the stranger in these matters, but I still am what I am, and that." And she sort of gives a little bit of a shudder. That is anathema.
So what was that again?
She gestures towards the thing and says, "That is anathema." I know we have some not English as first language people here. Does everyone know that word?
Yes.
Yes.
Excellent.
Nope.
Yep.
Okay, so anathema means that it is kind of directly opposed to. It is something that is so sort of viscerally opposed to, like, the complete opposite of what her being is, that it offends her on a level that's much further than, like, the basic thing. So the same sort of stuff as, like, complete polar opposites. So, like, an angel being exposed to a creature of chaos, or things of that nature. Stuff that is directly against their most core of their being.
Okay, thanks.
Twill will probably be a bit worried upon hearing that and ask, what exactly is that?
Asking Aliana.
Yeah.
She looks at it and says, "The stranger would know these things, and he would not use such against us. That is enchanted bane, fairy cold iron, things meant to bind and constrict us." And then she kind of gives a very unladylike sort of grunt, and then goes, "It is a trap."
Well, we should probably destroy that.
She gets a bit of a dangerous glimmer in her eye and says, "I, as your guide, would not recommend such a thing." And then she finishes that with a very small smile.
If I may ask why?
Aren't you still inside of it, Tool?
Yeah, Tuel is still inside of it.
Might want to come out of there.
Yeah. Okay, I'll try to come out. I just figured
You
that
do not.
getting out. I just figured that getting out without it being destroyed would be difficult, more difficult than getting in.
Well, getting in had a little bit of weirdness and kind of a measure of pain to it. Getting out doesn't have any measure of pain to it. You just stop. Like there's a barrier there that prevents you from escaping.
And that was definitely a great idea.
So,
Lols.
Karen, you can tell from your insight that Aliana is giving two messages. So what she is actually saying with her words is, as your guide through hell, she recommends that you not destroy that thing. Her personally, she really wants you to destroy that thing.
Right.
And if you ask her why not, she will say, "That could only have been created by the princes themselves, and they tend to not act well towards those that damage their toys."
Kieran is curious if it can be circumvented somehow. Whether it creates a spherical prison, or if perhaps if it can be tunneled, like if it'll be weaker from, say, from below, if we can tunnel under the ice.
Okay. You know that typically magic circles either create a spherical prison or a cylindrical prison. It would take a very small amount of effort to figure out that it is a cylinder. Basically, Tool can try to jump, and we'll find out that her head doesn't hit the ceiling. Or you can try to feel near the edges, and it just goes straight up instead of curving inward. You can tell that with these sort of things, you typically need to break or disable it. Without knowing the language that is written on the outside, it is going to be nearly impossible to disable it without breaking it yourselves.
Is it known how high the cylinder goes, or if it like funnels to another plane?
You would be able to tell that if you could read the language. So basically, the magic circle will tell what the limitations are, what it's being cast against, what the rules are, how far it's bound. You can get all the information from the ritual if any of you all spoke the language and were a ritual caster. Because you don't speak the language, you don't really know.
Maybe our imprint knows how to handle this.
So the imp is floating or flying nearby. So
Igmip, I think you might want to see that.
So he goes over, he makes some notations in his little book that's open underneath him, that's apparently being carried by an unseen servant. He looks at it, he looks at you. Yes, I see it.
Okay, can you tell us more about it?
It's an obvious trap, one that you have stepped into. He looks towards Tool with a certain amount of disdain.
Could you possibly translate the language upon the circle so that we might extricate our companion from the trap?
He thinks about it for a second and then says, I am not required to do that as your host. Aliana speaks up and says, however, as host, one of your guests has found that some of your domain is unfriendly to them. It would be proper for them to be let out so that they may freely interact and continue as guests. The imp sort of kind of grunts and struggles against that a little bit and goes, technically true. He lets go of his little quill as he's writing in the book, flies down towards the edge, says something in what is pretty clearly abyssal, makes a thing where he touches his foot against the edge of the barrier, and you see the lights from the thing die down for a moment, and then he mutters under his breath, "Step out now."
I'll jump out in that moment.
And then he pulls his foot back from it, and you see all of the sigils light back up. So he flies back over to his book and settles down.
Thanks, Igmip.
You could tell the devil looks at least partially annoyed that he had to do this, but you can tell that all of his annoyance is going towards Aliana, who's just smiling at him.
Thanks to you too, Aliana.
So, what do you guys want to do, or what other sorts of information do you guys want?
So we can assume that the queen or emissary was held in here, but are there any traces of where she went? Where she was taken?
You guys can try to do that if you'd like. So, what are you guys going to try to do to try to track her from this point? Because it looks like the emissary got to here, and then got trapped here, but then that's the end of what you guys have so far.
Do you want to go back to the initiative tracker?
Yeah, if we can. So, Meryl, I kind of delayed you earlier because I know you got disconnected. Meryl, if you're speaking, I can hear you. There we go.
Sorry.
We can hear you now.
Shit, I'm kind of stumped as to what to do. I mean, as both a player and a character, I don't have much expertise in rituals or anything having to do with magic circles. Or generally arcana in general.
So I will say that you guys have gotten through this part of the skill challenge. The current goal is to figure out what happened to the emissary, where the emissary is gone. You could try to physically track. You could try to magically track. You can also tell that both Igmip and Aliana are required to help if you so ask for it in certain ways. So you might be able to use, for example, social skills to convince them that they need to do certain things, or convince them to do something for you all. They are sort of passive observers and along with you all, but if you phrase things in saying, as a guide, it would be helpful if we were doing this, or it would be helpful if we knew this thing, you know that you kind of can frame it in that context that Aliana will help you, and you can also tell that she wants to help you. She's just, for whatever reason, not offering up information. So the same sort of thing with Best Mahi is if you ask her questions, or if you ask for certain bits of aid, especially if you phrase it well, she will very much help you. Igmip is sort of, you have to very specifically get him to do something, but you can also tell that Aliana knows the rules a lot better than you all do. And if you want something from Igmip, you can probably ask her, since she's treating you all very favorably, and she will sort of translate what it is that you want into getting the imp to do it.
Well, then I'd like to ask Ileana if she could help us find the emissary. Would I be able to do that?
Yes, go ahead. So,
Okay.
what is it you want to get? What is it specifically that you want from her?
Well, if shit. Um. I mean, really, if she has any sort of hints as to where we can go, to help us point us in the right direction.
Okay. So, if you want to give me a diplomacy check, or if you want to phrase that in a sort of proper Fey way, so you can either use a check to sort of substitute for proper phrasing, or you could just phrase it correctly, and she will do
Oh,
it
I'll
without
go
a
with the
check.
check.
Yeah. And by the way, if you make a good check, I will kind of translate for you, so you kind of know what the format is. So you can say to her, as someone who is guiding us, it would be very helpful if we had some sort of direction to be able to know which way to go. Basically, again, to format it as, as a guide, it would be helpful to do this sort of thing. So she smiles at you and says, "It is just so. It would be very helpful if I were to guide you to exactly where you needed to go, but if I knew where to go, I would not need you. Suffice to say that in this place, like begets like. This is an abomination." She gestures towards the circle, and similar abominations and powers would be connected to it. Were you to have the power to connect this with other places, you would be able to find things that are similar. She seems like she's having a hard time discussing the circle. Even kind of talking about it is bothering her. But basically, what she's going to say is that you have something that is a very potent magical thing that is specifically anti-Fey. So if you find something else, or if you try to connect with this sort of energy, there should be some either energy signature or some other sort of sign of things that are very anti-Fey that the emissary would have to be taken to. And she says, like begets like. So if it needed something this strong to trap the emissary, it's going to need something equivalent to keep the emissary contained.
Okay.
So, Karen.
Karen's kind of curious, like he kind of understands how the emissary would have been trapped here, but he's not quite sure how they could have transported the emissary and also made sure that the emissary was subdued during that point. So he's gonna look around for clues to see, whether they, maybe they transported, maybe moved her somewhere physically, or just kind of look around to kind of get an idea of, how they may have moved her, so that we can discern where they may have moved her.
Okay. So you can tell very quickly and easily that whatever happened here, the emissary was not physically moved. If they moved, it was either much more likely than anything else, it was likely a teleport, because this shows that same sort of kind of harsh lines. When a portal opens, it kind of cuts through a lot of stuff. When you teleport things, if you teleport an area around an area, it'll, if you teleport part of a stone, it'll be very clean cut lines where the pieces of the stone are teleported out. This shows all of the markings of this being some form of teleportation. If it wasn't teleportation, it might have been something that they lifted off a chunk of ice. So there was sort of a uneven top to it, and then it was lifted off. But that seems much less likely than it being a teleportation.
Okay, that gives me an idea. Can I step in now?
Sure, if you'd like to.
Because what I'm thinking is that, like, it is most likely that this has also been used as some manner of teleportation circle. Can we jury rig it and teleport it to the same destination?
Sure. I would say that again, to be able to interact with the stuff that's down there, like with the actual circle itself, you're gonna need to be able to speak the language. Without being able to speak the language, it's going to be impossible to work without there being an element of randomness. And I will kind of randomly roll for what runes and things you activate, which seems very it's a bad
Dangerous.
plan.
Yeah. I'm gonna assume it's abyssal and not deep speech.
Okay, it does look abyssal, yes.
So it's not deep speech. Because then I would have understood it. All right. Well, in that case, it seems like a bad idea. But bad ideas is I don't know, is a bad idea. I'm good at having bad ideas. So I will try tinkering with it just to see can we.
Oh yeah, can we just ask Aliana to help us with Jailbreak in the portal?
What if you do want to ask her to help you do this? So Amelia goes and starts tinkering with the arcane stuff around the portal. If someone else wants to ask Aliana to do something specific, they can definitely do so. But you need to tell me what it is you're asking her to do.
To translate stuff for Amelia, so Amelia can figure out how this thing works in general, since Aliana seems to speak Abyssal. Since she is bound and cheated for the task of finding the emissary, it would be in her interest to try to assess where she was teleported, and for that, it would be in her interest to help us translate those runes so we can try to assess how this thing worked.
So she
And
smiles, nods at that as your character, both in and out of your player and your character, followed the quote unquote correct format for dealing with her. And she nods and says, "Yes, it is very important that you comprehend language." When she says the last bit, you guys get that same sort of feeling of that flush of power as she speaks in Supernal and casts comprehend languages. So each of you guys can now read Abyssal.
Oh, that's what that meant.
So Amelia, I'm going to kind of roll randomly for what you were about to touch and see if it was good or bad.
Oh, yeah. Roll a natural one. Do it.
So the section that you were about to touch did not seem to have any particular importance. Basically, it was a relatively straightforward section of the binding, kind of labeling what is inside of the circle, that sort of stuff. It's a boring section of the area. So
It was a comma.
being
like it.
being able to read it and having a ritual caster, you can tell this portal this thing does three things in particular. The first thing that it does is it does create an incredibly large cylinder of magic circle, binding all things inside of it. You can see with the power that is contained within, it's going to be able to bind anything that, in mechanical game terms, is level 40 or below, cannot walk out of this circle. Any fey creature that is 40 or below cannot walk out of the circle. Any creature itself, in general, cannot walk out of the circle if they're level 30 or lower. And that is the first kind of major piece of binding. The second thing it does is it drastically weakens any fey that is inside of the circle and binds them to this particular thing. Basically locks any kind of power that the creature inside would be able to call upon or use or that sort of stuff to being restricted within the circle. So not only is the physical presence, but the magical presence of the creatures contained. The third thing that the magic circle is doing is it does seem to be a linked portal. It does seem to be linked to somewhere else. And you can, with a bit of time and kind of energy, kind of figuring out what's going on here, you can see where it is linked. Now, because of the way that sort of stuff works, you know that if you go through this linked portal, it's going to be within the binding. So to kind of phrase that in another way, there is no way to take this linked portal without also being caught in the trap part of the trap. So the two things are one. The trap and the portal are the same thing. The other side of that, however, is because you can read the language, because you know how this all works, you can get a pretty good idea, sort of geographically, on where this is leading and be able to head that way. The portal seems to be not very far. It is clearly somewhere within the same plane of existence, so it is still in Stygia, and it seems to be a pretty close distance from here to there. So you guys effectively know where this portal is going. So I'm going to remove people from initiative. After you guys kind of get all this information, you see Aliana kind of tapping her foot and waiting for you and says, I believe as proper guide, it is only fitting that I take you to where this is leading you. You can tell that she probably reads Abyssal, and so she had this information before you asked her. It was
But
not.
it's more fun when we figure out.
It,
It's more fun when we figure it.
So the area the emissary was walking was kind of straight north on the map, and then this is south and very far to the east. Again, north, south, east, west does not make any sense in Stygia, but for the purposes of understanding things, it was going this way. The portal goes this way.
All right. Well, since Miss Jewel, Miss Gilda, or Miss Aliana can't go through the portal, we will have to do it the other way. Let's go.
So
I mean, I think none of us can go through the portal, at least safely, since it, unless you're level 31 or higher.
So Aliana will summon a group of phantom steeds for you guys to ride, and then she will sort of sit kind of daintily off to one side on her steed, and kind of look at you, waiting for you all to get to go, and you guys can head off. The question I have to ask for you all, however, is the trolls are finishing kind of waking their last comrade from being slain, and the 13 trolls are now kind of looking around. They clearly are arguing with one another. Although the language they understand, for those of you guys who speak Elven, is understandable, they're talking over each other. They seem to have a lot of shorthand, like they're creatures that are very used to talking to themselves, and so their version of Elven, when they talk to each other, is almost its own language. It's not quite, but it's pretty close to being its own language, as they talk about references and they use proper nouns and they use shorthands and sayings that make it really, really hard to discern what they're actually saying.
I would try to just describe them what we found. So I will just tell them that I know where their queen is and that she was trapped and that their assistance would be much welcome.
So the one of the trolls kind of comes away from the others and kind of thuds over towards you as the other 12 continue to argue. The one that comes over towards you.
Is it the one we dug out first?
Is the question I have to ask. So, who was the one that actually saw the troll initially?
I was the one who saw him first with the perception check.
Give me a 1d13.
And that's oh, okay.
It is not the same troll that you uncovered. This guy seems to be slightly larger than the other trolls, and he has sort of the remnants of wounds still on him. He looks to be the last one that they woke up. So all of the other trolls kind of woke each other. Well, the one you woke up started waking people, and then when all 12 of the trolls, because one person wakes one, and then you've got two, those two wake two, etc., etc. They seem to come together and all wake up this one last, and he's not quite recovered. As he walks over, he's a full 25 feet tall. He's very, very broad-shouldered. He's big even on the scale that these other trolls are big. And he comes to go down to you and says, "You are going for the queen, yes?"
Yes, we are.
His Elven is a
trying
little
to
more
find-
understandable than the others.
We have been tasked by the one who has many names to find her and to help her.
He nods his head and kneels down before you and says, "Do you swear that you are to find the queen and you mean her no harm?"
I swear.
"Then you have our services, bound and treated for the purpose of recovering our queen." When he says it with this sort of, with a force. When he's talking to you, it's almost kind of like a whisper for him, When he says this, he announces it very loud, and when he does it, you see the other 12 trolls stop arguing, and they turn towards you, twisting their hands in that same manner that the other one did, causing these massive great swords of ice to appear in their hands. They then thrust the swords of ice into the ground, and all 13 of them kneel before you.
So, uh, as such, I want to ask you to follow us, since we know where she is.
So you get this kind of, again, that little break of laughter from Aliana, and she says, now, arise, Marquis. These ones are not members of the court. Not yet. The troll rises, nods his head again to you, nods to Aliana, and says, Duchess, we must head forward. He turns to you and says, lead the way. We shall follow.
Okay.
So, you guys pop on your flying mounts and start to fly in that direction. So, as the mounts get up and start flying, you see the trolls running below you. Aliana doesn't really fly that far above the ground. She only flies about 80 feet off the ground. And you can see the trolls, as they're running, are easily keeping pace with the horses. Although when they run, it's not a lot of running so much as it is leaping. So as you continue to move forward, you can see Igmip and Aliana are kind of... Igmip is flying next to Aliana, not on one of the horses, just by his own wings, and seems to be having sort of terse conversation with Aliana. He's clearly having it at Abyssal, but as Aliana kind of sees you guys sees you guys, at least one of you is going to probably see that they're talking. She mutters something under her breath, and you feel the sensation of not only being able to read Abyssal, but be able to understand Abyssal wash over you. And you see Igmip say, This is against what we agreed for. They are going to be causing much damage here. There is going to be reparations needed for this act of hostility. Aliana responds, There is an act of hostility that happened that was under your own guise. This is merely a continuation of the slight against my master and yours. Anything these Fae do here will be actions directly caused by the devils previous. You see Igmit kind of adjusts his glasses and seem a little bit frustrated at that. He says, I cannot argue with the logic behind what you are saying. It is within the terms of the contract. And he flies a little bit away from her. Apparently the trolls being here is something that is really bugging Igmip, but Aliana is saying that it's allowed.
By the way, since we're flying, could I, fly behind Igmip and sneak a peek in his book?
Yeah. Igmip is not even going to try to hide his book. He's very clearly doing detailed notes to journal everything you all are doing. It is written in Abyssal, and you would be able to read the Abyssal writing. Again, he seems to have a little bit of his own shorthand, but it seems to be a pretty accurate retelling of what you guys are doing. He makes special note of how long it took you guys to do certain things, but in general, seems to be just a accurate representation of what you guys are doing.
Okay, sounds good.
As you guys are flying along, you can see off in the distance there are little sparks of some sort of fire that is on one of the icebergs up ahead. Aliana gestures for you guys to kind of follow her and fly down. As you get closer to the ground, you see the trolls notice that you guys are getting closer to the ground and ready weapons and start to fan out in a bit of a V formation with the very big troll in the kind of the point of the V. Aliana is going to lead you guys down to kind of fly near there. And you guys can see from the distance that there is. I kind of wish I had a map or a splash screen for the distance for this, but I'm going to show you guys on the map, and then we'll go from there. You guys are not this close, because again, you'll be able to see them from a distance. So there is a Baylor husk. So you guys see this token?
Yes.
That is very much what he looks like. He is an enormous demon. He is well over 20 feet tall. Has long, or has not long, has a broad wingspan that looks like these sort of almost vulture-like wings. Has this heavy black armor that he wears. He's got a flaming whip in one hand and a kind of gnarled-looking sword in the other. That sword is covered in a lot of sulphurous-looking runes that glow kind of that harsh yellowish color even from a distance. And you can see the Baylor seems to be stomping back and forth, lashing on the ground with that great whip of flame, causing areas that are directly around the creature, like here and here, to be ripped apart. Like it's thrashing. If you see something kind of throwing a temper tantrum, this is kind of what this looks like, and it's trying to sort of lash out and destroy everything around it. You can see that it's near an area that looks like a ritual circle that's carved into the ice with 4 totems, or 4 sort of ritually important objects. You can't see from a distance necessarily what they are, other than their little statuettes that are on the edge of this glowing blue ritual circle. And you can tell the Baylor husk, or the Baylor is fighting around the area where the circle is, but he's never looking directly at it. He's always looking kind of at an angle, like he's looking in general direction, and then he will lash out and hit the areas around the ritual circle, but doesn't seem to be hitting the ritual circle itself. So again, you guys can see him from a distance. He does not seem to have noticed you. Aliana goes to fly down to where the trolls are to kind of stop them from moving, and allows you guys to do whatever you'd like to do in the air. So I know you guys can't see initiative order at the moment. So Amelia, are you doing anything in particular, or how? Actually, let me rephrase this. The goal of what I need to know here is how you guys are approaching what's going on. You can tell that the teleportation circle led in this direction and leads pretty much where the Baylor husk is standing. The question I have to ask for you guys is, how do you want to approach this?
That is a very good question. Maybe we can approach him diplomatically and say, hey handsome, how you doing? But that probably won't work. So I am out of ideas.
I'd just like to ask Ignip what he thinks of this Baylor being here. This is a stranger in his kitchen, right?
So Ignip will kind of give you a bit of a wry look and go, yes, the demon is not supposed to be in this lair, but they are useful for their purposes. Basically, he doesn't like it, but he kind of sees it as being a tool of something else, so it's more along the lines of, you can tell, I would say from Karen, your insight can tell, Ignip seems like he doesn't like the demon, but he also doesn't have any specific ire towards the demon, because he sees it as sort of a lesser creature, like it's a servant of something that's actually important. So any sort of things that the demon does, he's not going to lay at the demon's feet. He's going to put at the feet of whoever is, the demon's master.
Do we have anyone that's familiar with
User
rituals?
was moved out of your channel.
Kieran is our only ritual caster.
User
Karen.
joined your channel.
Aaron, can you determine import of that ritual that the demon is frustrated with?
I'm not sure. Being this far away, I don't know if I'd be able to.
You can't really get any details other than the fact that what Gilda said is accurate. He seems to be trying to attack the ritual circle, but not able to do so for some reason. So you would need to get close enough that it would be very likely that the Baylor husk would be able to perceive you. To get more details, you could do stealth checks or something like that to get closer if you wanted to try to investigate, but those would be checks, not just you get closer.
Well, before anything more drastic happens, I would like to ask Aliana a question. What are the ramifications, according to our contract, of a situation where a combat might occur with creatures such as this demon, which aren't actually denizens of hell, and are instead for some nebulous purposes?
So Aliana turns and says, "It would be my method as guide to give you the most quick and efficient method for getting around any such," she looks over towards the demon, "obstacles, if you so ask for my opinion upon the matter. As far as my nature as guide, I will not directly help you in fighting any such things, as the advice I could give is very simple."
That's not what I asked. I think.
Okay.
Not at all what I asked. I asked what would be the legal implications of combat breaking out.
Right.
That's pretty
So
much what I asked.
she's answering that question, but she's filling in a lot more details. And she would say, in the case of direct conflict, it would be your duty as a guest to, assuming you are accepting the hearthright of that has been extended to you by Igmip, to not raise a direct hand against anything under his own, his guise. As he has previously stated, this creature is an outsider in his home. Thus, there is no implication if this creature is removed or if left to run amok. So basically, you're not against the rules to leave it, you're not against the rules to kill it.
Okay, that's what I wanted to know. I mean, that's what I want to ask. And she said that it is her duty to tell us what is the most convenient way to get around it.
If you ask, yes.
So, I'll just wait for what others want to do before anything else.
I don't know why that switched me to Alistair Gray, but there you go. If you like, you can try to sneak closer, or you could talk to one of the others.
I would probably want to wait what others do before deciding on my action.
So you can basically get up to the edge of the bridge that leads from the previous iceberg to this one without really being seen. The Baylor seems pretty intent on what it's doing. You don't need a great check, luckily, to get close to the Baylor without it noticing you. So, anyone have anything else they want to do?
I mean, Meryl's already sneaking up, so let's go and take it from there.
I think we should actually take Aliana on her offer to show us the best path to go around it.
Okay.
I think there's another thing that I think if this racial circle isn't here, I think this racial circle has some importance to it.
I mean, yeah,
Did it feel
also,
like where the teleport led to, or what?
It doesn't seem
Yeah.
like that. You can't pinpoint it quite that far, but this is very close to where the ritual circle was leading, yes.
So yeah, if this is
So-
the destination circle, we want to investigate it.
Mainly, I am agreeing with you guys. I'm assuming that you guys are going to investigate the circle. It's the first question of what are you doing but the Baylor being there. And if you want to ask Aliana, she has an answer if you so choose, and she has told you that she has an answer if you so choose.
I'm not a big fan of that. If you're gonna give us answers, give them to us. So I will instead come up with my own thing. Hey, Sorelka, you're a master of disguise, aren't you?
Indeed, I am.
Are you as good at disguising others than you are as you are at disguising yourself?
It depends on what you want to be disguised as, but I have dressed an entire troop of guild members before as little girls, and it was sufficiently effective to dupe our opponents.
Fantastic. I mean, being a tiefling, I may as well make use of that. I don't want to get out of my armor, but how about you disguise me as a succubus?
Oh, all right.
And I'm not sure. I think we were doing assisted bluff checks in that point. So like yours being an assist to mine is essentially what I'm going for. And I wanna like approach and distract the Baylor so everyone else can investigate the circle.
I do want to make sure that you're aware, because a lot of times the distinction doesn't matter, that a succubus is a devil, not a demon.
That is true. What's the and yeah, tieflings are also devil related. What the fuck is the equivalent that's a demon? Is that Arinius, Alufiend?
Arenas, I'm pretty sure devils.
Aaron, yes, are also devils. So there is not really a seductor demon.
Yeah, because demons don't really roll that way.
Yeah.
But you know, at least it will make it seem like I belong here, which is also a plus.
I mean, given that he's just smashing something that clearly belongs here, I don't think that will stop him from smashing you. Just pointing that out.
Well, I mean, you know, a good enough checks, and who knows?
I mean, he's literally smashing up something that clearly belongs here, as it was put up by locals. What prevents him from smashing you up, if he, given that he seems to be clearly pissed?
Well, if he wants to do that, then we roll initiative. Except
and
not
yeah,
in
you'll
those
be separate.
terms.
You'll be separate from the party as a monk. Great idea. I would
Yeah.
rather ask. I would rather ask Aliana what she thinks is a good idea.
So, because again these are group decisions, I do want to ask the group to make a choice again. So, I am not trying to vote for any option. So, you can either disguise yourselves and get closer. You guys can just go murder hobo and roll initiative, or you guys can ask Aliana what she would say if you asked her as the guide what she would like to do, or what she would do.
I mean, we don't even really have to follow her advice after we ask for it. So, asking for it either way seems useful.
Please vote 6 people.
Halfway there. It's more cloudy.
All right, Karen and Soroka,
Yeah,
it's up to you.
I've got my vote. I'm ready to go. I'm just not trying to sway anyone. Karen, you gonna vote or what, bud?
I didn't see your vote.
I haven't voted. I'm trying not to sway anyone. I mean, I've done this before, Gary. I don't
Oh, it's true. Fair.
Just considering, I mean, we can hear Aliana out, but we don't necessarily have to go along. So I'll hear her out.
So Aliana, if you ask as guide, what would you suggest? She says, if you were asking me what I would suggest, I would say the quickest path is simply activating the circle and going where it leads. However, as my position of the voice, I would say that the stranger likes stories, heroes' journeys, and vengeance. The stranger, however, would be interested in getting a little bit of revenge for those that saw a terrible battle in the beginning part of our story. She looks down towards the trolls. I believe there are those that have bones to pick. Her suggestion is, send in the trolls.
I like that suggestion.
That song is way better than Send in the Clowns, by the way.
Yeah, I thought there was some kind of contractual obligation that prevented the trolls from doing that, so I was misinformed. So yeah, whatever.
So the actual contract that was being discussed, the Igmip doesn't want the trolls to act in things, and Aliana says, well, the trolls are going to act as they're going to act, and the reason that they're allowed to act like this is because your master broke the deal. So yes, it is a broken deal, but it's not our fault. So the trolls are free to do whatever the fuck they want.
Yeah, so let's just sit back and get popcorn.
And that does seem like an expeditious solution. I kind of wanted to try mine, but no one else was on board with it.
So the three options now are get close, murder hobo, or send trolls.
Sending the trolls sounds like the most hilarious of it, so.
And again, since the whole thing is you can hear her out and then try to make your decision, give me a 1, 2, or 3, please. So, I need one vote. Okay, so enough of you guys who agreed that sending in the trolls might be good. Aliana will go fly down to where the trolls are and says to them in that same sort of archaic Elven that there is something up ahead. The trolls kind of laugh back and forth and start kind of very what would be for people that didn't have at will regeneration, very violently sort of smacking each other and sort of getting each other riled up. And then the one much larger troll that seems to speak for the others kind of steps forward, and they all sort of thud across the bridge and head across. As the Balor sees the troll approach, you see it stop lashing back and forth, sort of hold its weapons, and kind of gnash its teeth back and forth. Standing back, you can see it calls out and sends out this very shrill shriek of alarm, almost bird-like, and you see the waters around the area flood with hundreds of demons that come pouring out of the waters to start filling up the area around. The 12 other trolls start going around and just walking through the lesser demons. There is not really a combat there. It's more they are just crushing the demons and sort of tossing them back into the water. The one kind of head troll goes up and challenges the Balor one-on-one, and then proceeds to beat the ever-living hell out of the Balor. The Balor very clearly seems to be fairly combat competent, but seems to be at least partially weakened by the fact that it's a creature of fire in Stygia. The troll does not seem to be hindered at all by the cold, and disarms the Balor, takes away his flaming whip, throws it into the water. The Balor keeps coming after him. He snaps both of the Balor's wings, breaks both of the Balor's arms, takes his sword, jams it into the ground, and then just snaps the Balor's neck, and then holds it there down. When he pins the Balor down at the end, you can tell he's doing so in a way to keep the Balor alive. And then the other 12 trolls finish cleaning up the demons, and the troll looks like he's talking to the Balor, and then nods towards the group that's sort of watching this from the distance. And Aliana turns back towards you and says, "It appears the Marquis wishes to give you the opportunity to talk if you so choose. Do you so choose?"
Yes.
So those are the options. You guys can move forward if you'd like. The Balor is completely subdued. Amelia, you can see as you get closer to the ritual circle, the circle seems a little kind of hard to focus on. As if there is something sort of always drawing your eye. Like you're seeing a glint in the corner of your eye that makes you want to focus on something else. It's not very strong, and you can sort of intentionally look at it, but it's the same sort of sensation of like staring directly into the sun. You get this urge to look away.
Interesting.
It does not seem to be doing that to anyone else. So the troll looks up at you and says, "Actually, I have a picture of this troll, but I'll see if I can find that while this is going on." The troll looks up at you and kind of smiles in his very kind of broken tooth grin. Says, "This one is full of boring information. It would be simple to destroy it." You see him tighten his grip a little bit on the back of the creature's skull.
So let's see. Demons are actually are. Yeah, they were religion before, weren't they?
Hmm.
Assuming, I mean, I would like to ask the baller why was he trying to destroy the racial circle.
Okay.
Okay, so that's 18 with the bonus that we maybe still have. Either way, I don't know the information that I'm looking for as a player.
Okay. So you're trying to ask it. The Baylor kind of spits and snarls at you, sending up some very sulfurous curses in Abyssal, and then settles down for a moment. He didn't really answer your question so much as just curse at you when you asked him a question.
I will make a half-joking threat. Well, if you don't answer, you don't have to. With something like I'm bad at this threat thing.
You see him kind of trying to twist his head around to spit at the
Basically, I
troll.
just try to threaten him to make him talk.
What do you want to threaten? I need to hit push talk. What do you want to threaten him with? He seems to not really be bothered by the fact that he's laying here with his back broken.
Oh, he's not bothered by that.
I mean, obviously he's in pain, but you can tell he's taunting the troll to kill him.
Hmm. Yeah, that's kind of making this complicated.
So, does anyone else have anything they want to try to do to talk to the troll? Because not talk to the troll, talk to the Baylor. If the Baylor is left to sit here and just continually taunt the troll is eventually going to kill him anyways.
I would like to tell the troll that since the Baylor wants to be killed, I think we should not kill him and let the queen decide what's his fate.
Karen was also curious, being that the Baylor is a demon. Maybe if we can discover his true name, we can compel him to not be so hostile with us, and perhaps he can tell us, something more than lies and insults.
So you see the troll kind of loosen his grip a little bit from both of you guys saying things, and then he gives another one of those big broken tooth grins and say, yes, Queen could deal with this. She would like that. He sets the Baylor's head down, and the Baylor doesn't look nearly so full of himself as he did a moment ago. He actually looks pretty bothered by the fact that the troll let him go. So, yeah, the answer to your other question, Karen, is probably if you had a way to know its true. Excuse me. If you had a way to know its true name and you knew how to use true names to compel something, you'd very much be able to do something like that. However, finding out something's true name is extraordinarily difficult and typically takes some sort of extra special thing going on. You don't think that just asking him what his name is going to really work very well.
Anybody have a degree in demonology or something similar?
Maybe Igmip does.
Igmip has no obligation to answer anything like that.
I have that, but that's probably not relevant.
It depends on what you want to do. You know the name Nemesis, so.
Yeah, but that's not really relevant. I don't think so. I'm not doing anything with that.
Okay. I mean, if you're trying to work with stuff with names, if you feel like you want to say that name, it will have an effect. But saying the name at any point in time has an effect. So the troll kind of stops and looks around. The other trolls are continuing to sort of joke and you can tell from the way that they're talking in Elven, they're basically arguing about style points of some sort. Apparently, the trolls keep some form of score about how they were destroying the demons that were swarming up around the sides, and they're arguing about how many points certain things should be worth.
And then someone tells the big guy, that still only counts as one.
Yeah, something along those lines. None of them seem to be arguing with the big troll that's with you guys. Obviously, clearly their leader. But they all seem to be arguing and kind of lightheartedly joking with one another. The troll is looking fairly pensive for him being the troll, and he's looking around. You can tell with the way the troll's looking, he doesn't see the circle, and he's trying to figure things out. Like, he's looking at the cuts in the ground, he's looking at the burn marks, he's looking at a scene that to him doesn't seem to be making any sense.
Can I try to? Actually, I believe that he can. Both of them could not see this part, right?
Yeah, so this area in here seems to be warded to where neither the Baylor nor the troll seems to be able to see it.
Or the
Okay.
tiefling.
You can still see it, it's just kind of, it feels like it's got something around it that's bothering you. Actually, the same thing for Gilda. You would have the same sensation as there's something around this that's kind of bothering you to look at.
Okay. Mm.
So it's basically forfeit in the mortal something.
So, what do you guys want to do? Because you guys are here, you can see there's this sort of ritual circle thing. You can see the troll and Aliana does not seem to perceive it either. Neither does Igmip. Igmip and Aliana, neither one of them is so sort of obvious that they're clearly looking for it. Where the troll, he's not really hiding his intention as confusion. Like, he's very clearly wandering around trying to figure out what's going on. Aliana and Igmip might be doing the same thing, but they're much better about hiding what they're doing. None of them seem to be looking towards this ritual area, which in the Blasted Wasteland is really the only interesting thing around. So you would expect if they could see it, they would be looking at it.
So I guess I would come closer to the ritual and shout Aliana and try to touch the ritual.
So you want to ask Aliana to touch the ritual?
No, pretty much get her attention and try to touch the ritual myself. See if that, damages me once again.
It doesn't hurt you. Everything here is big blocks of ice. Everything seems to be made from layers of freshly formed ice. The little statuettes here are made of some sort of black stone that has a faintly sulfurous smell coming from it. But as you get Eliana's attention, you can tell when she looks at you, she's having to squint. And then if you try to put your hand in the ritual area, her eyes sort of glaze over, like she's not able to follow your hand, and she frowns. It seems even when you draw their attention to it, they can't perceive whatever's in that circle.
That seems very weird.
So I'm going to ask you guys to go ahead and roll up initiative so I can have everyone on the tracker right now. So the only thing you guys have left is you can either interact with the Baylor, or you can interact with this ritual, or you can do something else. I don't care which of it is. I just want to make sure that we continue moving forward. I think I'm missing Karen, looks like. So, Tuel, you're first. What are you doing?
Delane.
Okay, Sorelka.
My origin has been changed to elemental by one of the items I carry. Does that prevent me from seeing a ritual circle?
It does not.
A lot of ideas about why they can't see it and we can. I will delay until the end since I know what's up.
Okay. Gilda, you also know what's up, but if you'd like to take an action, you can.
I just ask Aliana if that I will tell her that there is a ritual circle over here and ask her if she understands what's going on.
She says, I might be able to understand what is going on if I could see this thing, but I would say that as voice of the traveler, he would say that there is something others do not wish us to see here. specifically those of the Fae and more kind of looks towards the Baelor and towards Igmip and says more infernally infused. This place might also be warded against those who are immortal. If I were to set up something like this, that is what I would do. So basically, it's shrouded from sight from a specific set of things, and she feels that the group of them is under that subsect, and you guys, the ones that have Fey origin, are probably getting caught by a lesser version of that feeling from what it's stopping, like the actual Fey from being able to see. Same thing with Amelia getting being a tiefling. It's that there's some sort of stirrings of the blood of the devilish ancestry that's causing it to trigger, but not necessarily stop her.
I mean, there's only one reason I can imagine to hide something from those three origins. It's to basically something that was set up to as part of the capture the queen idea, and it's hidden from devils and demons so that more loyal elements don't find it.
Mhm.
So this seems to be pretty much exactly what we're looking for.
Seems reasonable. So what do you guys want to do
Can
about it?
any? I'll probably just ask our ritual casters what the hell do they think this is this?
Yeah,
Karen?
Karen's gonna go ahead and examine it. I guess since we can all understand and speak, read and write Abyssal, is that what I noticed that it's written in?
Yes. It does seem to be written in two languages. If you look on the map, you can kind of see there's circles leading outward. They are in alternating languages. So one circle is written in Abyssal, the next circle is written in Elven, and then Abyssal, Elven, all the way out. You can tell that this circle is partially deformed. If you look on the map, one of the totems has fallen, and one of the pieces of the circle is disrupted. You under the pretty strong impression that if it wasn't already slightly messed up, that there's no way the Baelor would be able to even get close to it, to be able to kind of figure out roughly where it was, to be able to start lashing out towards it. You can also tell that this is a very, very delicate ritual. Most of the quote-unquote defenses of this ritual are basically preventing it from being perceived. There does seem to be something in the ground, in the star in the center. Like if that part of the area is destroyed, it will lead to somewhere else. You don't see any signs of the linked teleportation stuff that you saw in the other circle, but as previously mentioned, the circle is fairly delicate. You pretty much get the impression that if you go over there and just take a big stick and break it, it'll fall apart.
Is there any way to determine, like, besides that it's got stuff in the ritual to try to hide it from immortal eyes, is there any clue as to what else its purpose is, or what it could be hiding?
If you would like to give me a Arcana check, that's going to be most of what you need to try to discern any more about the ritual. There is another piece of the ritual. It's just how much of that you can understand.
Okay. Maybe I can relay that information to someone else that's better with Arcana, and they can take the investigations further.
Sure. So, someone else want to give me an Arcana check? I believe
Yeah,
Amelia is our Arcana person.
Better step up or I'll do it, and we'll all be here.
Yeah, natural too.
So you can tell that the part that Karen is not really seeing exactly what it does is a warding thing. Karen, would you give me an insight check? Or, well, can you fail an insight assist? I don't think you can.
No.
Okay, so you automatically assist with insight of showing the correct pieces of the ritual that you don't understand, so that will put it up to medium BC. Amelia, you don't really know how it works, but this thing is shrouding itself with a very, very heavy shroud. So it's really, really hard to perceive this particular spot. However, the entire iceberg that it's located on is being held under a similar shroud that is much weaker. So this is the focal point for this entire area being hidden from view. You're pretty certain that this is hiding things that are below the surface.
Okay, well, I'm gonna say that the fact that I am still having trouble focusing on this is the reason that I didn't succeed very well on it. But I think the other people who know Arcana are also affected by that, Gilda.
Yes.
Yep.
So
It's a cloaking device and hiding something under the ground, which means there's something under the ground. Let's ask the trolls to dig.
So you can ask the trolls, and the trolls will say, "Don't see anything," unless you just ask them to dig in the ground where they currently are, which
That
they're not
seems
against.
silly.
Okay, it's a cloaking device, so we can just break it so everyone sees what is there. Or wait, breaking toys is probably something Igmi would not appreciate.
Do you want to ask him?
I will probably ask Aliana, just give me a moment to where the legal is. If there is a device that is apparently preventing us from proceeding in the investigation, is it within what would consider proper to break such a device?
She smiles and nods her head and says, "As a guide, I would recommend that you take all action that is not directly against your host to be able to proceed. If this device is not something that is carried on or being actively maintained by your host," she
User
looks
was
over
moved
towards
out of your
Igmip,
channel.
who kind of gestures his head in the negative, "then it would be reasonable to destroy it in order to proceed."
Okay, so then I'll just poke the device with some blades, since you said that it's pretty much breakable with a twig.
User joined your channel.
So, yeah, you can go up and break it. I mean, it would take an enormous amount of skill, energy, and effort to create something like this. It takes one guy with a sword to break it.
I have two swords.
So as you break apart the circle, you see bits and pieces start to fall down, and it starts to kind of sink into the ground itself. As this happens, you hear this sort of weird alarmish sound going off, as there are these heavy cracks in the ice that are sending off waves in every direction. The trolls stop arguing with one another and start what sounds to be in Elven placing bets, and draw their weapons and start to face outward around as the big troll looks over towards the hole in the ground that has just opened up. So I will mark it on the map, and then we will change maps in just a second. So that square has fallen away, and you can see that there is definitely something down below. It does not look like the entrance is very big, although the troll kind of is standing there looking at it, basically pretty easily kind of sizing up, see exactly how much he's going to have to break it to go down there. And then you can see there is a lot of commotion going on around the edge of the glacier, as the troll looks out and turns back towards you and says, "Things coming that we need to stop. You are here to help the queen. Then we are here to protect you. Find queen. We will hold the door." He calls out to the other trolls to me protect the little ones, and they gather in a circle around you all as demons start flooding into the area. I'm going to assume for you guys that you guys head down the ladder that is going off into the ground.
Yes, let's.
We have to use the ladder, or can we just slide down the ice? Slide.
Style points are allowed. Because we've had a fairly heavy RP intensive session so far, what I do want to do is take a moment. We are going to be getting into combat here in a second. I will want to have you guys take a minute to kind of refresh, go to the bathroom, go get whatever you need, take a quick 5-minute break. We'll actually make it a 7-minute break. So at whatever time zone you're in, 15 is when we're going to actually have be ready to go. So at 15 after, come back, be ready to go, be ready to hammer into things, and we will go from there.